From the heartland of America and the gateway to the West, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm George Norrie. Welcome to Coast AM. Later tonight, Ghost to Ghost, and what a program we have ready for you. Here's what's happening. Biotech firm Moderna expects to have about 20 million doses of its experimental coronavirus vaccine ready to ship in the U.S. by the end of the year. The Massachusetts-based drug dealer will be prepared to distribute the vaccine dubbed mRNA 1273, RNA, right? Around the country, if its late-stage clinical study proves that it works, and the feds approve it, according to company officials. Meanwhile, Johnson & Johnson plans to start testing its experimental COVID-19 vaccine in youths aged 12 to 18 as soon as possible, according to the company. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden's lead over President Trump has narrowed to 8 points from 10 points in early October, according to a national survey of likely voters. President Trump, though, trailing in the polls and with a little time left to change the trajectory or closing themes of the presidential race, has spent the final days of the campaign complaining that the coronavirus is getting too much coverage and openly musing about losing the election. But what does Jerry Corsi think about this? He's been following this for a long time. Jerry, I think it's going to be much closer than the pollsters say. What do you think?
Much closer, George. I think actually Donald Trump is going to win. It's going to be 2016 all over again. I'm a political scientist by training, and I go by the dynamics of these elections in terms of the enthusiasm. And Donald Trump, even in Minnesota, where they're trying to block him from, just a rally tonight of only 250 people, thousands show up. And Joe Biden is having a hard time drawing 100 people in their cars honking their horns. And the dynamics of the two campaigns in terms of the messages, Biden is still on COVID-19. He's still having fear. We got to lock down, and Trump is saying we got to open up. We got to have economic growth. Positive messages telling the people what you're going to do for them is what wins elections.
There have been reports all day today, Jerry, that the COVID deaths are inflated, that they're being mixed in with pneumonia deaths, heart attacks, and things like that. What are you hearing?
The same thing, George, and it looks like the disease is really about 90% plus survivable. And I think this blocking of the hydroxychloroquine and zinc protocol, Dr. Zelenko, was really designed to cause people to die. I hate to say that, but all the evidence is that in prevention or early treatment of the disease, this simple protocol, a generic medication, hydroxychloroquine, medicine for over 70 years, looks like it works to reduce the disease, to cure the disease, and to prevent the disease. And why we're not able to have this simple remedy, which people from lupus and who have rheumatoid arthritis can easily get, is amazing to me.
I'll see you on election night, Jerry. Don't expect to get much sleep, okay?
I'll look forward to it, George.
All right. Dr. Jerome Corsi, CorsiNation.com is his website. The Federal Reserve has announced that it will adjust its Main Street lending program to better support small businesses still reeling from the coronavirus pandemic. The U.S. Central Bank said it's lowering the minimum amount that can be borrowed by small and medium-sized businesses to $100,000 from $250,000. The fees have also been adjusted to encourage the smaller loans. Everyone has a favorite memory that they want to keep forever, while many things will stick with us into our old age. Physical and emotional conditions can eventually rob some of their ability to remember key events. Researchers at Northwestern University say there may be a way to stop this eventual decline. Simply be happy. Their study reveals people who are more cheerful suffer less memory loss as they age. I love these studies when they keep coming out. Here's another one. A study of dog DNA has shown that our best friend in the animal world may also be our oldest one. The analysis reveals that dogs can be traced back 11,000 years to the last ice age as being domesticated and friends to us. This confirms that the dogs were domesticated before any other known species. Well, it's time for Kevin Randall to talk about UFOs. What do you have for us this week, Kev?
Well, I think you know, George, I've always said the really great UFO cases have multiple chains of evidence.
Yes, sir.
By that, I mean witness testimony, a chain of evidence, preferably multiple witnesses independent of one another, photographs, instrumentality, a word I love, which would be like radar, physical evidence, pieces of debris, interaction with the environment. And Leveland, which I've talked about before, has at least two of these elements, maybe three. Witnesses at 13 separate locations, interaction with the environment, stalling the car engines, and possible landing traces that we found some years later. There's a case known as number 74282 in MUFON. It took place in August of 2013, and it has three or four of these chains of evidence I've talked about. I need to give credit to Philip Leach for first interviewing the witnesses, and to Robert Powell of the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies. I want to say UFO there, UAP Studies, for bringing me this information. Three Americans were hunting in Canada, had an encounter with a huge craft that was sort of a flattened dumbbell shaped. The hunter described as witness number one, and both Leach and of course Powell know the names of the witnesses.
Yeah.
Had made a video of his experience hunting just prior to this, so we know that the camera was working properly. It was completely dark. They were on their way back to their camp. When they came around the bend, witness number one saw some lights approaching. They were so bright they were difficult to look at. He tried to photograph the object with his Sony CyberShot, but couldn't get it to power up for more than 1 to 2 seconds.
Jeez.
He then used a 3x9 Nikon scope to take a look at it, but he had to dial back the magnification to get a good view of it. He had an opportunity to examine the craft, looking for anything on it that would identify it as terrestrial, but he couldn't find anything like that. It's like he hadn't seen anything like that before. He then gave the scope to witness number two, and witness number one got out his Sony HD camera, which stayed on, but the screen was totally black. He attempted to use his cell phone to take a picture, but found it hot and the battery was dead. The craft was now about a quarter of a mile away, so he and the other witnesses got a very good look at it. They did see another similar craft further away, and one of the men said there was even a third craft that was at an incredible altitude, something like 100,000 feet, moving at high speed. The sighting lasted for several minutes, so they got a very good look at it. And as I said, it was viewed through a telescopic sight. There were attempts to record the event using multiple devices, all of which failed. Once the devices were removed from the situation, meaning the craft had flown away, all the devices began to work properly. There was an electrical field from the craft, an EM effect, which is what we were talking about with Leveland, another chain of evidence there, was strong enough to scramble the operation of the cell phones, the cameras, radios, but did not affect the car engines for some reason. The chains of evidence here are the witness testimonies, of course, but we must remember they were all together, so it's not quite as good as it could be. There were attempts to take pictures, and while the photographs didn't turn out, other data was captured on that equipment. So you have that chain of evidence, and finally there was an interaction with the environment. The causing the equipment fail. I've got more information at my blog, www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com, which includes an interview with Robert Powell, so you can hear what he says about this case. I think it's a very good case, and it brings us back to showing that the UFOs are something more than imagination and hoaxes.
They sure are, Kevin. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for that great report. Kevin's blog, again, it's kevinrandall.blogspot.com. Well, in a moment, we are going to be talking about Ghosts of Greystone with Keith. It's an amazing story, and as a matter of fact, he is originating tonight's interview from that mansion, that haunted mansion, so we'll get into that. And then later on tonight, it's Ghost to Ghost on Coast to Coast AM. AT&T and T-Mobile are going to tell you how you can save more than $400 a year by switching to Pure Talk. Now look at your last cell phone bill. What was your data usage? The average person who switches to Pure Talk is using less than 4 gigs of data a month. but the big carriers are charging you for unlimited data. It's like paying for an entire row on an airplane, but you're only needing one seat. How about unlimited talk, text, and 2 gigs of data for just $20 a month? And if you go over on data usage, they don't charge you for it. Switching to Pure Talk is the easiest decision you'll ever make. Go to puretalkusa.com and enter promo code COAST50, that's the number 50, and you'll save 50% off your first month of service. Again, that's puretalkusa.com, puretalkusa.com, promo code COAST50. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless.
Real people, real stories.
So I had an appointment with the surgeon, and he was telling me what all he was going to do, and it was just absolutely horrendous. I came home, I started on Carnivora, and I called and canceled my surgery, and she said, "Are you going someplace else?" I said, "No, I'm taking care of it myself." She said, "Okay." And my problem on my skin went away. I have bruising that's all over my arms, 3 weeks after I was on the carnivore, I noticed, I'm looking at my arms, and I said, "Gee, I don't have any bruises on my arms, but I'm always full of bruises. I can't put my finger on it, but I know something's happening." I have to tell you, that has to be a carnivore.
Call 866-836-8735. That's 866-836-8735. Or visit carnivore.com. That's CARNIVORE.com. Use coupon code George to get 15% off your order.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you. Let me tell you about Clete. Keith never had thoughts of writing a book, Ghosts of Greystone, let alone one on the paranormal. He was not someone totally convinced in the existence of ghosts or spiritual hauntings until he started working at Greystone Mansion in Beverly Hills. And after 22 years in a retirement looming, he woke up one night at 3 o'clock with the idea of writing a book about all these stories that he has heard, as well as his own experiences. Clete, welcome to the program. Great to have you on this pre-Halloween night.
It's a perfect night to be here, George. Thanks for having me.
Now, and when I introduced you as when you started working at the mansion, what did you do there?
Well, what I've done, I'm going to be retiring actually December 4th. So I've been here for 20 years, and I've done from being a ranger, a park ranger working here, and also setting up events and things for the city. So it's been actually several different jobs that I've done for the city of Beverly Hills.
Whereabouts in Beverly Hills is the mansion?
It's above Sunset. So there are several cross streets, but if you think about where the Beverly Hills Hotel is,
sure,
it's east of that and then up above Sunset. They're up on a hill. It's as creepy as you can get. It's literally up on a hill.
I think Donald Trump owns a place out that way too, doesn't he?
Yeah. He absolutely does, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, now let's talk about the history of Greystone. How old is the place?
Well, it was built in it started to be put together in 1927 and February 15th of 27. And then by September of 1928, the family could move into this mansion. Now, if you think about it, you can't even probably get permits done in that amount of time now. And this mansion was built in about a year and a half where the family could move in. And it's enormous. It's 55 rooms, 67 it's 55 livable rooms, 67 altogether.
My God.
Yeah, it's huge. And 46,000 square feet.
Now, who owns it today?
It's the city of Beverly Hills.
They own it. Okay, that's interesting. And they've just restored it. They've kept it going.
Yeah, they've kept it going, and it's now a city park where anybody can come and visit. Not now with the COVID, obviously, but
right.
People can just come and visit. They have weddings here, and they do a bunch of different events here as well.
Do they bill it as a haunted place?
No.
They do not.
No, so that was one of the things that I wanted to bring out, that having been here for so long and having worked here for so long, at the beginning of my career with the city, you were not to talk about it at all. It was something that
okay.
never brought up, and now at this point, I just wanted to, now that I'm leaving, I just want people to know that it's the real deal here, man. And
they can't stop you now, right?
And like you said at the beginning, I'm actually at the mansion now. I didn't want to be, but I'm at the mansion now because this is the only landline I have in my office here. And so we're doing the show, and I know for a fact that there are spirits within this mansion. And as soon as we're done, I'm getting out of here.
I don't blame you. Clay, kind of paint us a picture then where you are in this mansion.
Okay, so I'm basically just outside. There are many different places within this mansion. So the mansion is, like I said, 46,000 square feet. Right outside the back service wing is a firehouse. Back then they had their own fire department because Edward Doheny, who purchased this property, his son built the mansion along with a firehouse, so that it was 429 acres at that time, so they could have their own little fire department if something broke out. Above the firehouse is where my office is, so it's right next door to the mansion, right there. And we've had a lot of experiences up in this office and down below, which are the restrooms for the public.
Later this hour, Cleet has sent us 9 EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, that we're going to play some clips of and have him explain just about what we're going to be listening to. They're all very quick and short, but I want you to listen to some of those. Let's talk about the mansion itself, Cleet. When did it become haunted? What happened there?
Well, this is what's really interesting to me, is that there was the son, Ned, who built this house and moved in 1928 with his family. It was his wife, a daughter, and 4 boys.
92 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah. So they moved in, and within 4 months, on February 16th of 29, he was dead in the house, murdered in the house. So we don't know if that murder-suicide opened up a portal within the home and brought in the spirits after he died. Was he had to still be within the home, I think, because he's still there now. So did his wife see an apparition of him? Is that when all the hauntings started, or did it start long before, when maybe it was Indian land or Mexican land as well?
When you said murder-suicide, which is it?
Well, it was a murder-suicide because his secretary, his male secretary, Hugh Plunkett was his name. They had a disagreement on one night on February 16th of 1929 at 11 o'clock at night. He would come back, and this ties in the Teapot Dome scandal,
Sure.
The whole thing, argument, and Hugh brought in a revolver, and they don't know if he shot Ned and then killed himself, or if it was Ned taking a gun and shooting Hugh, then killing himself.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so one got murdered, one committed suicide.
Right.
They believe, they just don't know which one.
Right, exactly. And also, George, that's just one of the incidences of murder and suicide within the house. There were
more?
Oh my God, yeah. So there were 2 maids. One maid hung herself in the house. Another maid, there's a meat locker on the 2nd story. She went in and slit her wrist within that locker so that her friends, who were other maids, would not have to clean up after her. It would go down the drain.
Oh, jeez.
There was also a little girl that either, we don't know if she fell out the window onto the terrace, or if she jumped off or fell off the recreation wing down into the courtyard. And I'm sorry to bring up more, but there was another man in 2003 who went to the Willow Pond, which is right next to where I am, and shot himself in the head and killed himself.
My God. Yeah, I don't blame you. Get out of there after this interview is done. My gosh.
Yeah.
So, have you encountered any specific paranormal experiences there yourself?
Yeah, I have.
What happened?
I was down in a basement with my brother-in-law and sister, and they came to tour the mansion with one of the senior rangers, Steve Clark, and Steve was giving them a tour down in the basement, which is a place you don't want to be during the day or at night. And they happened to be down there, so I met them down there. And as he was standing there talking about the basement and the what was down in the basement, there was 3 huge bangs right next to me, and it's a cement wall. And I jumped, and not to be I hid behind my sister is what I did. Okay, are you happy? That's what happened.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
You're not being a chicken or anything like that.
I panicked. Okay, I panicked.
Hey, who blames you? Nobody.
Thank you. You're one that I need to on my side.
Because I'm hiding behind you while you're hiding behind your sister.
It was really terrifying to me. And then I went. I said to Steve Clark, "Did you set this up?" Because my sister and brother-in-law here, and he goes, "No." And I said, "Get the other Dan Hernandez's other ranger, get him on the phone because I want to see if he's here on the radio." He got a hold of Dan. Dan was at another park, and it was real. I mean, it was, and that's nothing compared to what has happened in this house. It's crazy.
That's amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And does the activities, they continue to this day, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's in Georgia. I'm not joking. I'm in the firehouse, which is right next to the mansion right now. There are spirits within that house moving around. Somebody who cleans the bathrooms below, I just talked to him half an hour ago before we came on here, and he told me about seeing an apparition crossing past the window inside the mansion 2 nights ago. So it's I put my recorder in there all the time, George, and every single night you'll get sounds of movement, of voices. It just never ends. And people know this. People that come to this mansion when I'm working here, they ask me 2 questions. One is the mansion haunted, and where are the restrooms? Those are the only 2 questions they ask me. And so, and I tell them, because I wasn't supposed to talk about it, I finally just say, yeah, this place is the real deal. And so with all the recordings I have and being in the mansion with a lot of the rangers have had experience as well because they have access to the mansion. So
I will be coming back to LA probably in January, so you'll be retired. Will you still be allowed to tour the place?
I will bring you in.
Okay.
If you want to, and I think you should, because people don't get to go inside here, but I will bring you in and I will tell you the stories, and it will be, you'll be astounded. Maybe you'll feel something as well.
I'll bring Tom with us.
And he wants to come in. He already told me. But I've done it, George, before with some people, and they've been touched, and one woman ran out. She couldn't take it. So I can't tell you that you're going to be safe, but I will be there with you. I'll run out with you.
Is the investigation into the murder-suicide, which was 90-some years ago, still open, or are they not investigating anymore?
No, it's a great question, and it's within 24 hours. Remember, this was a family that had $1 billion when a penny meant something.
Then, exactly.
So it was the Doheny's, which was this family, and the Rockefellers.
Is that what the street Doheny Avenue was named after? Okay.
Doheny Drive and Doheny Road are named after this family.
Hold on for a second, Clete. We'll talk about that, and then we'll get into some of these EVPs you sent us when we come back. In the second hour with Clete Keith, we will take your phone calls, and then we begin Ghost to Ghost.
Get daily show updates right to your inbox for free with the Coast Zone newsletter. Sign up today at coasttocoastam.com.
From the 24-hour KFI newsroom, a massive new COVID-19 testing lab is opened in Valencia. Governor Newsom says the lab will be able to process 150,000 tests a day when it's fully operational in the beginning of next year.
This lab and our capacity now substantial increase by a minimum estimate 75% increase in our total testing capacity here in the state of California.
Newsom says the lab will also bring down the cost of PCR tests from $150 a piece to $30 a piece. And a man's been arrested after leading police on a chase in Long Beach. CHP says the man was driving a stolen Jeep. The man was seen speeding through surface streets before pulling into a parking area and running. He attempted to blend in with other people on the sidewalk, but police quickly arrested him. SoCal weather from KFI. Some low clouds and fog overnight will give way to sunshine and highs in the 70s along the coast, 80s in the metro areas, and upper 80s in the valleys and IE. We lead local. From KFI's 24-hour newsroom, I'm Bill Seward.
Downtown LA, the 101 northbound between 5 and 4th Street. All lanes closed by Caltrans until around 6 o'clock in the morning. Southbound side shut down as well between 10 and 5. That's until around 7 a.m. Use the 5 for the 110 instead. Montebello eastbound side of the 60 50 to the 605 3 right lane shut down until around 8 a.m. There was a crash there, Santa Anita Avenue as well. Looks like that's cleared up to the right side. Now, Mona on the westbound side of the 10th Freeway from the 57 to Olden's 4 right lanes are shut down until around 7 o'clock in the morning. KFI in the sky help get you there faster. Lucky.
It's Conway here. I love tech, I love gadgets, but I don't love the hassle of getting things to work. That's why I'm not just a Hello Tech customer, but I'm a Hello Tech member. The Hello Tech membership gives me access to US-based technology experts 24/7. If your Zoom is not working, they'll get you conferencing again. Need a virus removed? Done. Slow computer? They'll speed it up. Online and phone help is unlimited for members. Call every day if you like. If you need expert in-person help, like installing smart home devices, fixing horrible Wi-Fi, they do it. And Hello Tech members save up to 50%. Hello Tech recently came to my home and installed a camera that I've been putting off for years. Hello Tech handled it. So I got a special deal here, and you can join me as a Hello Tech member. Get a free in-home technology checkup, plus free antivirus and password protection software. That's a $200 value for free. Go to hellotech.com/radio. hellotech.com/radio. Sign up and become a member like me. hellotech.com/radio.
Do you have coins, jewelry, or precious metals and are looking to sell for a top dollar? Sil DiGenova, CEO and owner of Tangible Investments, has become legendary by beating his so-called competitors' offers on these items by as much as 500%.
I had a diamond ring that been an heir in my family for many years, so I went to a local jewelry store and they offered me $600. I just wasn't comfortable. I took it down to Tangible Investments and they offered me over $6,000. That store is absolutely awesome.
Stories like these are why Tangible Investments has become America's top dealer in precious metals, jewelry, and collectibles, and why Sil has been featured on CNBC and quoted on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Over the past 30 years, Tangible Investments has bought billions in collectibles. That's billions with a B. Right now, demand is through the roof. Sil encourages all his clients to shop the competition and then call in last. You'll be amazed at the difference. Guaranteed. Call now for an absolutely free, professional, no obligation appraisal. 800-711-2800. 800-711-2800. 800-711-2800.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids.
Donate your car today with 1877 Cars for Kids. We're a recognized 501c3 charity organization, so you'll receive a maximum tax deduction. What's more, you'll receive a vacation voucher of 3 days and 2 nights. Also on the web at carsforkids.com.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Remember, that's cars with a K.
Facebook knows that voting this year is a little trickier than usual, and you may have questions about whether you can still register, vote by mail, and how to safely vote in person. That's why Facebook created the Voting Information Center. Get information from election authorities and experts at facebook.com/votinginfocenter. And don't miss the new podcast from iHeartRadio and Facebook called Why I'm Voting, where you'll hear more reasons to vote. iHeartRadio's Why I'm Voting, countdown to Election Day. Your vote is your voice.
KFI AM 640. You're listening to Coast AM with George Norrie.
And we'll get to take your calls with Cleve Keith next hour here on Coast to Coast. And sometime during this interview, we'll be playing some EVP clips as well. I've got lots more to talk with them about this haunted gray stone mansion as well. Beyond Belief, that is our television program. And it's got some great shows in it, doesn't it, Tommy?
Yes, it sure does. And you know what? How did life originate on our planet? That's the question. Well, you can find out by going to beyondbelief.com and watching our free episode. It's up there right now with Bruce Dahmer. While you're there, you can learn how to access the whole Beyond Belief catalog. It shows that we have so many ones like When Spirits Cross Over with psychic Mark Nelson, Hiding the Ark of the Covenant with Ken Hansen. There's just a ton of them out there. So check it out. It's beyondbelief.com.
And we're going to take your calls next hour with Keith. So make sure you're with us. Keith will be with us as we talk about his latest work on the mansion, Ghosts of Greystone. Looking for ways for stem cell technology to kick in and help you? Listen to this.
Dr. Nathan Newman, an expert on the use of stem cells for healing, has put his same knowledge into his Luminous skincare line. The Luminous serum is great for women and men on those fine lines, wrinkles, and under eye bags for the face, neck, and hands. Luminous is an easy-to-apply twice-a-day serum that helps reverse the hands of time. Here's Dr. Newman with more.
Our skin ages with time because of two factors. One is the genetics and one is the environmental factors. What we eat, how we live our lives, how much sun we get exposed to. And these damage our cells, and our stem cells are the cells that have to come and repair and regenerate these tissues and make new cells that will replace the damaged cells. As more damage is done, the ability to replace them is diminished. That's why we have the help boost the stem cell ability to replace the damaged cells and improve the quality of our skin.
Return your skin to a youthful vitality and radiance with Luminous. Try Luminous with our starter kit featuring the Luminous serum for only $19.99 with free shipping. And now we offer free shipping on the entire line of Luminous products with smart delivery with discount code GEORGE. Luminous at our exclusive website, healthylooking.com. That's healthylooking.com. Or by phone 24/7, 800-604-3129. 800-604-3129. Dr. Newman's Luminous available now at healthylooking.com. That's healthylooking.
It's the final countdown for Trump versus Biden. And make sure you're watching Newsmax TV. They have all President Trump's rallies live. Newsmax has great analysts, Dick Morris, Rudy Giuliani, Diamond and Silk, Michelle Melkin, Sean Spicer, and more. Newsmax is on all the major cable systems, or get Newsmax free on Roku, Zumo, YouTube, Pluto, Apple TV, and TVs like Samsung plus LG. And download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone. Watch it anytime. Newsmax TV, real news for real people. Wearing a mask can be essential anytime you're in public, and the Easy Flow can help deliver you fresh air to keep you safe and comfortable no matter where you're at. Airplanes, hospitals, the grocery store. You need Easy Flow. Simple. Just attach Easy Flow to any mask. Cut down on headaches. Take a deep breath and know that you are safe with Easy Flow. Save $10 with the promo code GEORGE. Order yours today at EasyFlowUSA.com. That's EasyFlowUSA.com.
Real people, real stories.
So I had an appointment with the surgeon, and he told me what all he was going to do, and it was just absolutely horrendous. I came home, I started on Carnivora, and I called and canceled my surgery, and she said, "Are you going someplace else?" I said, "No, I'm taking care of it myself." She said, "Okay." And my problem on my skin went away.
I have bruising that's all over my arms. 3 weeks after I was on the Carnivora, I noticed, I'm looking at my arms, and I said, "Gee, I don't have any bruises on my arms," and I'm always full of bruises. I can't put my finger on it, but I know something's happening. I have to tell you, that has to be the Carnivora.
Call 866-836-8735. That's 866-836-8735. Or visit carnivora.com. That's CARNIVORA.com. Use coupon code GEORGE to get 15% off your order.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you, along with our guest, Cleet Keith. Cleet, let's talk more about that open and shut case that was not so open and shut, the murder-suicide. So police still aren't investigating. They've kind of like dropped the case, huh?
Yeah, so like I was saying, they're a billion-dollar family back in the 20s when a penny meant something. So when that took place, within 24 hours, that whole story about the murder was put under the rug. Never talked about again. The newspapers never printed anything after that.
They had that much clout, huh?
That much clout. It was all money, all about money, for sure.
How'd they make their money, by the way?
Oil.
Oil, all right.
Yeah. Edward Doheny came and he was the first one to find oil in Los Angeles, went down to Mexico, to Tampico, Mexico, made his fortune down there, and then was a billionaire by then.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Was there a brand name company that we'd all know?
Well, no, I mean, he was, I'm not sure what, if there was gas stations or whatever. I know that there are other people like Harry Sinclair has Sinclair Oil, which is now Arco. But as far as this family, they just sold their product to whomever and made a fortune.
All right. Yeah. I get it. Let's talk about some of the ghost stories emitting from that mansion. Mm-hmm. Tell us about the story of the city worker. What happened there?
Okay. This is nuts. And I talked to him today, oddly enough. He drove up I was here at Greystone.
He's still around, huh?
Oddly enough, he still actually showed up here. And his story is he works for the city. And one of his jobs when he first started working was on Rodeo, in Beverly Hills. They do, for the holidays, they do one night, and they have workers come in and they replace all the flowers like poinsettias and stuff.
I've seen that. I've seen that, yeah.
Okay, so the next morning, everybody comes and goes, oh my God, it's holiday time, which is great. But he worked until like 2:30 at night. From the morning into the night, was exhausted, said, I'll go up to my office, which was a trailer here at Greystone, down at the southern end of this property. He comes in, 2:30 at night, dark, goes into his office inside this trailer, sits down to close his eyes, and he hears 3 loud knocks on the front door. Now, that might be scary if you're at home at your house, but think about being at this property by yourself. He hears the knocks, and he's like, who is at the front door? If I open it and somebody hacks me up, nobody's going to know, because nobody knows about Greystone.
Or some skeleton at the door or something.
But that's what. So he knows where he's at. He knows how the property is. He didn't know it was really haunted, though. So he goes up. He creeps up to the window that's right by the door, and he sees a glow coming from the outside of this window. And he's like, "What is that?" He gets and creeps just a little bit, opens up the blinds, and what he sees, and we talked about it today, and he was tripping out again today. What he sees, George, is a stagecoach.
Wow.
It's a stagecoach that's lit up. He said it looked like almost like an Avatar, where they had kind of the purple white light in Avatar, the movie. He said it was like translucent, and it was a stagecoach with 4 lights on the top. He could see the wood on the side look like old barn wood. There were reins that came off the stagecoach onto a horse, and he's looking at this. Imagine what's going through your mind.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, what is going on here? And the horse takes off and pulls the stagecoach away from his trailer and goes up the hill toward the gatehouse, which is the lower building down here in the south end, and makes a turn and then just dissipates and disappears away.
That's a great story.
Is that crazy?
Does he seem bothered by it?
Yes. And I'm not
to this day.
Yeah, he came up to me and he starts telling me the story again, and he shows me his arms with goosebumps. And he said it was like Ghost Rider. The movie Ghost Rider had the same kind of feel and look.
Tell me about Emily. What's Emily got to do with this?
This is crazy. So I'm in the mansion. There's a movie crew that's in there because they're getting ready to shoot a series in there. And this woman who's with that group, I see her break away from the group, and she comes toward me with her eyes wide open. I'm going, uh-oh, something happened to her. So she comes towards me and she goes, can I talk to you a minute? And I go, yeah, sure. And she says, is this place, you know? I go, no, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. I want them to tell me the story. I don't want to lead them in any way. And she's like, is it haunted? And I said, why do you ask? And she says to me, ever since she was a little girl, she could see, hear, feel, sense spirits.
That happens.
Right, exactly. And she said when she turned 15, she shut it down. She couldn't take it anymore. She said, but when I came into this mansion and I'm standing with the crew. I looked over and this little girl runs up to me and says, "My name is Emily. It's Emily. My name is Emily." And she's looking at this little girl like, and looks at the crew. They're not responding. And she's like, "My God, it's happening again." She walks around the corner and looks at the little girl and says, "Okay, your name's Emily, but don't do this to me. Please don't do this to me." So she says, "So my question is this mansion haunted?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Did a little girl die here?" And I said, "Yes." "Was her name Emily?" I said, "We don't know." She goes, "It's Emily."
Were you able to verify that?
Well, I've gone through with the forensics guy from Beverly Hills, went downtown, and we're still trying to find. Remember, if she died here, the family covered it up.
Right, as they covered up so many things.
You bet. So we're still looking, but I know she's been seen, George. She has been seen in the house probably 5 times, literally seen, running away. One of the rangers went up to the front door one morning, looked in there, and there she was. And she ran away from him, and he went inside, looked around the corner, and went, "Oh, my God, there's nobody there." And then we knew Emily's in the house.
Are there any more Doheny's around?
No, the immediate family, I think it was Patrick, was the last surviving son of Ned, and he died, I think, at 93, probably 6 or 7 years ago.
And how did they disperse the mansion? Did they sell it, or what happened?
Yeah, so Ned's wife, Lucy Doheny, stayed in the mansion until 1955, and then she sold it. All the children had gone. She sold it to Henry Crown, who was part of the Empire State Building. He bought it, and he held on to it. They thought he might move in, but I think his wife put the kibosh on that one, and he was out of Chicago, so he stayed and kept all his dealings in Chicago, and he held on to it for 10 years and had people come, they could film here, and used it for filming. And eventually the city bought it in 65.
Well, they've got some huge properties and prominent names in that city, don't they?
Yeah.
My gosh.
George, 2 doors down is Ozzy Osbourne's house. Remember his show?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know his son. I know his son real well.
Okay. Yeah, it's 2 doors down from here, so.
All right, what about the strange story of Ranger Steve?
Okay, are you ready for this? This is Senior Ranger Steve Clark, one of my best friends, and we were having a design show. And so designers would come in, they'd choose a room, they put up all their designs and try to have people come in, and they would go through the rooms and see if they wanted to purchase things or have them design their homes. So Steve would come here early, open up the mansion to get it ready for the day, and he comes into the mansion. He's walking through the grand hall, turning on the lights, and in the card room, which is straight ahead when you walk in through the grand entry, the card room, it was the designer was Lisa Turner, and she was designing it. It was for Titans of the business, and she was designing it for Stevie Wonder. And so she had all these motifs in it that were really beautiful. And in between these doors, she had these statues, and they were like probably 6'3", 6'4", tall, heavy, 300-pound statues that had like a leather face, and off that, they were women, off that leather face that came down to the chest were strings with heavy rocks hollowed out that made it look like a dress. So he's walking through the mansion, turning on the lights, and he looks over as he turns on the lights, and this one statue moves toward him. About a foot and a half, scoots toward him. Now, these are 300 to 400 pounds. It took like 6 guys to move them in, and it moves toward Steve. And he stares at it, and he told me, he said, "You just moved," because it's really hard to fathom when you're by yourself and you're in a mansion. It was early morning, it was dark, and this thing moved toward him. When Lisa Turner showed up during the day, she was upset because she said, "Who moved the statue?" And Steve said, "I got to tell you, it moved by itself." That's the true story. That's really true.
The creepy meat locker story, was that the maid who killed herself in there?
Yeah, so what happened was that I was taking this woman, Luz, who was a ranger, an ex-ranger from a long time ago. She decided to come here to meet me here, and I was going to walk her through this mansion to get her ideas of what happened to her of the paranormal. She has the gift. She can feel. She can sense. So she had 18 stories that are in the book that are like off the charts. So when I walked her through, we were upstairs in the kitchen upstairs, and she said to me, whenever I was in here, Clete, I was I go check the kitchen, make sure everything's locked and everything's okay, and I keep hearing this pounding, and I couldn't figure out where the pounding was coming from. So I'd walk out of the kitchen, look down the hallway, couldn't hear where it was coming from. And then the next day, same thing. She goes, finally, one day, I found out it was coming from this door. She shows me. I said, well, you know what that is, right? She goes, well, it's the meat locker. I said, but do you know what happened in the meat locker? And she said, no. I said, a woman slit her wrist there. And she just stared at me and went, oh my God, she was trying to get out. And that's what she heard, is the pounding from inside the meat locker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Creepy indeed.
Yeah.
How about the strange story of Ranger Mike? A lot of Ranger stories out there.
Yeah, with the Ranger, there are a lot of Ranger stories because the Rangers have access to the mansion.
And you were one.
I was one. I didn't want access, but I had access. So Ranger Mike shows up, design show again. He opens the door. It's the end of the day. He comes in through the servants' entrance, and he's checking to make sure everything's locked up for the night. He walks over by the stairwell that goes up to the second floor, and he glances over, and there's this little boy looking through the railing of the stairway, staring at him. And he's like, how did this kid get it? Oh my God, he was afraid that Ranger Steve, who was his boss, was going to get upset with him because he let people in the house during the design show. So he says, hey, and the kid turns and runs, and he goes up through the servant's wing on the second floor. He runs after him, pursues the child. The kid goes around the corner. Mike loses him and comes out and says, hey, come on out. Tell me where are your parents? You've got to come out. You can't be inside the house. He's looking, and there is no child. And to top it off, during that design show, there was a room that we used for all historic purposes, for photos, for dishes and things. You could see what used to be in the home. And he calls me up and says, Clete, come here. I go, what's going on? Come here. Takes me into this room, goes up to a photo and says, there's the kid right there.
I love these things.
Is this crazy?
These are great stories.
Yeah, it's all real. Real.
There's a message room in this house?
Well, it's the massage room you're talking about.
A massage room. Okay.
Yeah, in the massage room, this is crazy. You remember Luz? Luz was a Ranger. She told me the story that they had a movie that had come in. They'd shot in the house, and in that massage room, somebody spilled something and stained this white carpet that was in there. So she was like, oh my God, I got to have a company come back and clean this.
Clean it up if you can. Jeez.
If you can, right? So it's a white carpet. So this guy shows up. He's got his cleaning bucket and the whole thing. He goes, this has to come out. So he starts in scrubbing it. She stands there watching him. Then she walks into the room next to her, which is Mrs. Doheny room. She's walking around. She comes back into the massage room to see how he's doing. He is frozen. He stopped cleaning. He is staring at Luz walking into the room, and she's looking at him like, why aren't you cleaning? And he looks back over to the door that enters the massage room, and there is a woman standing in that doorway in a white dress, and you can see right through her into the hallway. And he's staring. She looks up, the woman looks up from the guy over to Luz, sees she's there, the Ranger, and just dissipates and goes away. And Luz, the guy goes, hey man, is this good enough? And she goes, nope, clean it. And she made him stay there and clean the rug, and then the guy ran out.
He was frozen, wasn't he?
He was done. He had just shut down.
Yet these things continue to happen. So something is still hanging around there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, George, and you'll see in January, there are a lot of things still happening, all in all parts of the place. In the recreation wing, which has the bowling alley. Did you ever see There Will Be Blood?
Yes.
Okay, remember at the end, bowling alley at the end?
Yep. Yeah,
That's here. Here.
That was shot there where he killed him with the bowling ball, crushed him.
Exactly. Daniel Day-Lewis.
That was a great movie, by the way.
Really good, and they shot quite a few scenes here. And there's activity there. There's activity in a lot of renovation brings activity, which is what is happening now. We renovated the theater, we're renovating the library, and boy, there were so many stories that came out from that, from the contractors who were coming up to me going, what is going on in this place?
And you mentioned the Teapot Dome scandal, which was the bribery scandal involving the administration of then President Warren Harding back in 21 to 23. What did it have to do with the mansion?
Well, what happened it had to do with the family. E.L. Doheny, the father of Ned, who owned the mansion, he was the one who was friends with Albert Fall, who was the Secretary of the Interior.
Oh, he may have been involved in a little impropriety.
Exactly. So he sent Ned and Hugh after Albert gave him access to Elk Hills and Buena Vista naval reserves. He gave Ned and Hugh, had them go deliver Albert $100,000. Remember, this is back in the 20s.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money. Albert took the money. It was found out. Albert went to prison. Then they were going to go after the father, E.L. Doheny, and they thought they'd do it through Ned and Hugh. And Ned and Hugh had their confrontation. Ned was killed. When they did the courtroom proceeding for the father, Edward, they acquitted Edward. So,
or that even adds more to the scandal. Cleve, let's come back and listen to these EVP sounds, and then we'll take calls right here on Coast to Coast AM.
Coast Insiders, the new version of the Coast to Coast AM app, is now available for iPhone and now Android 4.0 and above. Listen live or on demand, anywhere, anytime. Go to coasttocoastam.com and download it today.
Hey, it's Gary and Shannon. California is facing a devastating fire season.
So iHeartMedia and Jack Daniels Tennessee Fire are matching the first $10,000 donated in support of first responders.
Find out how you can donate at supportlafd.org. Drink responsibly. Whiskey specialty, 35% alcohol by volume. Jack Daniels Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee.
Nothing means more to our Sit and Sleep family than earning the trust of your family. So we're practicing social distancing and giving every customer a personal protector to lay on. Save hundreds on the largest selection of name brands. Sleep interest-free for 12 months. And come try our new Hybrid Infinity that's over $250 less than a Casper Hybrid. So count on Sit and Sleep to provide a clean, safe shopping environment so you can get the deep sleep you need during these stressful days.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much, but it does. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Melio's pissed. She has like her private time during the day, and I ran into her, and she tried to hide down the wine aisle, and I tracked her down. And my wife's like, "Why do you keep following her?" I'm like, "I'm gonna go say hi to her." She goes, "Well, she clearly is trying to avoid you. She's running from you." I'm like, "No, I gotta go say hi to her." Hey, Melio!
Tim, hey.
The Tim Conway Jr. Show.
That's right.
Weeknights at 6 on KFI.
That's the only thing I ever win is guessing at the spread. If I would have bet it, lost. You know, they say at the racetrack, when Conway has money on a horse, the flag is up, you lose.
The Tim Conway Jr. Show. Weeknights at 6 on KFI. KFI. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. KFI AM 640. Gary Hoffman says he has emotions. But has anyone ever seen them? Shannon Farron says she went to Catholic school, but she swears like a drunken sailor.
All right, you know what? You guys are...
Is the Gary and Shannon Show really the bank you want to deposit your trust in? We are KFI AM 640. We approve this message.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Anger issues. I'm Bill Seward from the 24-hour KFI newsroom. A man already charged with vandalizing Donald Trump's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame has been caught on video doing it again. The video shows James Otis dressed in a suit early yesterday morning using a pickaxe to chip away at the star, which was covered with plywood. Otis was arrested earlier this month for allegedly damaging the star while wearing a Hulk costume. He was also arrested for vandalizing the star in 2016. A survey done by UCLA shows about 10 million eligible people in California never or only sometimes vote. 28% of those polled said it's because they dislike politics or the candidates. Some people say they feel uninformed about elections or just forgot to vote. Researchers found Asians and Latinos were the least likely to vote in local elections. Southern Californians have hundreds more options now for in-person voting. More vote centers opened yesterday for the final weekend before Election Day. Voters in LA and Orange counties are allowed to cast their ballot or return a mail-in ballot at any vote center they want. Those electing to vote in person are encouraged to take their mail-in ballot with them to surrender in exchange for their in-person ballot. Full House actress Lori Loughlin has reported to a federal prison in the Bay Area to start serving her time in the college admissions scandal.
She pleaded guilty to paying a bribe to get her daughters into USC as recruits for the crew team.
Aaron Katursky says Loughlin got a 2-month sentence for her part in the cheating scheme.
She wasn't due to report to prison until next month, but prosecutors agreed she could begin serving her time sooner, provided she does not seek early release.
Loughlin's husband, fashion designer Massimo Giannulli, was sentenced to 5 months in prison. And a man stabbed at a home in San Dimas has died. LA County Sheriff's deputies were called to a home about a break-in early yesterday morning. They say the intruder was stabbed during a fight with a man in the home. The injured man tried to drive off but crashed a few blocks away. He died at a hospital. SoCal weather from KFI, some clouds and low fog overnight, but should give way to sunshine. 70s along the coast, 80s in the metro areas, upper 80s to 90 in the valley and IE. Right now, it's 58 in Sherman Oaks, 58 in Downey, 54 in Brea, and it is 60 degrees in the city of Irvine. We lead local. From KFI's 24-hour newsroom, I'm Bill Seward.
Roadwork has all lanes shut down downtown LA, the 101 southbound from the 10 to the 5, that's until around 7 o'clock in the morning. Northbound lanes shut down as well from the 5 to 4th Street, that's until around 6 a.m. You can take the 5 or the 110 instead. Bell Gardens on the 710 northbound, Lawrence to the 5. 2 left lanes out of commission until around 6 a.m. And Montebello, eastbound side of the 60, Finley to the 605, 3 right lanes shut down until around 8 o'clock in the morning. You are seeing some pretty heavy delays through that stretch. Westbound 60, Finley to the 710, 3 right lanes close till 7. KFI and SkyHub is that faster. Hey, it's Steve. You know, lately I've been telling you how Sunlux only works with top-tier equipment like the Tesla Powerwall. Well, Sunlux and LG have just partnered up to offer the new cutting-edge LG panels with integrated microinverters. Now, it's all a bit technical, but it means less equipment clutter on your home, better performance, and the best warranty in the industry backed by both Sunlux and LG. The Sunlux commitment to the very best is just one of the reasons for their mind-blowing energy production guarantee. Your solar will produce exactly what it's supposed to over its entire life. Sunlux will pay you the difference. Can they really do that? Yeah. It's why I keep telling you there are only 2 kinds of solar companies in Southern California, Sunlux and everyone else. Call Sunlux today. Dial pound 250 on your cell and say Sunlux. Pound 250 Sunlux or on the web at sunlux.com. CSLB 1008374.
Looking for safe and fun ideas to celebrate Halloween this year? How about some films full of fright? And stay in with the fam for a spooky movie night. Did you know that your costume can still bring the screams through a screen? Dress up the whole family and hold an online contest for the win. And why not swap trick-or-treating for a candy scavenger hunt? Trade the front door for the backyard and have lots of scary good fun. To learn how to keep your family safe, visit covid19.ca.gov. This message was brought to you by the Center at Sierra Health Foundation.
Hey, it's Conway here. I love tech, I love gadgets, but I don't love the hassle of getting things to work. That's why I'm not just a Hello Tech customer, but I'm a Hello Tech member. The Hello Tech membership gives me access to US-based technology experts 24/7. If your Zoom is not working, they'll get you conferencing again. Need a virus removed? Done. Slow computer? They'll speed it up. Online and phone help is unlimited for members. Call every day if you like. If you need expert in-person help, like installing smart home devices, fixing horrible Wi-Fi, they do it. And Hello Tech members save up to 50%. Hello Tech recently came to my home and installed a camera that I've been putting out for years. Hello Tech handled it. So I got a special deal here, and you can join me as a Hello Tech member. Get a free in-home technology checkup, plus free antivirus and password protection software. That's a $200 value for free. Go to hellotech.com/radio. hellotech.com/radio. Sign up and become a member like me. hellotech.com/radio.
Have you decided who you're voting for? I'm attorney Darren Kavanoki from 1-800-NO-CUFFS. Yeah, normally I'm the one reminding you to please just shut up. But now is the time to speak up by casting your ballot. No matter who you vote for, make sure your voice is heard. And whether you're celebrating victory with a cold one or lamenting defeat with a cold one, remember 1-800-NO-CUFFS, because the cops are out there no matter who wins. 1-800-NO-CUFFS, since no one looks good in handcuffs, unless you're into that sort of thing. 1-800-NO-CUFFS.
KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk.
Still I'm made up in my mind and state. Nothing was gonna drive me away.
501-4721. To talk toll free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies, toll free, call 800-618-8255. To reach George via Skype, use Skype name George97313. Send George a text message anytime at 818-298-6521. From the gateway to the west, this is Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
Our special guest, Keith. His book is called Ghosts of Greystone. We're talking about the mansion in Beverly Hills, California. It's spooky. Up next, we're going to listen to some sounds that were captured inside the mansion, and then we'll get your calls on Coast to Coast AM. This weekend is the final showdown of President Trump versus former Vice President Joe Biden. You can't miss it. Newsmax TV has all the coverage this weekend, and they're airing President Trump's rallies live. And you have to watch their powerful documentary called Bad Decisions, the Joe Biden story. And Bad Decisions is the first media documentary based on Joe Biden's 50 years in Washington. Check your cable guide. Watch Newsmax TV, the fastest growing cable news channel in America this weekend. Great shows with Michelle Malkin, Diamond and Silk, Mike Huckabee, and more. Newsmax will also have on Dick Morris, Rudy Giuliani, and Kimberly Guilfoyle, and more. Newsmax is on all the major cable systems like Xfinity, DirecTV, Dish, Spectrum, Cox, Optimum, Fios, and Uverse. And if you don't get cable, watch Newsmax TV for free on Roku, Zumo, YouTube, Pluto, Apple TV, Chromecast, Amazon Fire, even smart TVs like Samsung. Or download the free Newsmax TV app on your smartphone. Newsmax TV, it's worth watching. To try.
While many Americans lost their retirements during the 2008 recession, those who were invested in gold saw incredible gains. Now, many experts are predicting this recession could be even worse than 2008. When the market tanks, gold rises. Now is the time to invest in gold. Learn from the lessons of 2008 and protect your future with gold and precious metals today. This month, Noble Gold is giving away a free 1/10 ounce American Eagle Gold proof on all qualified accounts. Contact us today to get started. Our dedicated staff is waiting to assist you by phone. We can help you roll your existing IRA into a precious metals IRA or ship metals directly to your home. There is no time to waste. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com to download our gold guide to learn how you can protect your retirement. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. noblegoldinvestments.com. noblegoldinvestments.com.
630.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you, along with Keith. Keith, where do we get your book, first of all, Ghosts of Greystone?
Well, you can get to Ghosts of Greystone at our website, which is ghostsofgreystone.com, to purchase the hardcover, and I'll sign each one, and you get a couple gifts with us, and the shipping is free. Or they can go to Amazon and order the hardcover as well as the ebook, and the audiobook is on its way as well.
Okay, and we've got the link for you at coasttocoastam.com. Greystone spelled with a Grey, of course. Let's go through through some of these clips. We've got 9 of them, and I want you to explain as we go to each one. Tell us about the first one that you've called National Treasure.
Okay, so National Treasure, Book of Secrets, is, everybody knows.
Great movie with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and they filmed some of that here. And Peter Devlin, who was the sound mixer, he's a 4-time Academy Award nominee sound mixer. So he decided to leave his recording setup at the top of the landing on the stairs. Now, what he didn't know was he actually had it set in the portal area. So he's got to sit there, and he decides what he wants to do is just let it run for the full night, because not about ghosts. It's like, I love to hear creaky sounds. This would be kind of fun, and I'll see what I get in the morning. So he leaves it there. Next morning, we open up, everybody grabs their gear, and they move on. Peter gets on his sound mixer, puts the headphones on, and he's listening. He stops it and looks over at me, and I go, uh-oh, something happened. And I start to leave. He goes, hey. I go, yeah. He goes, did you have security here last night? I said, yeah, we did. He goes, nobody. I said, Peter, nobody was in here. Why? Was something happening? He goes, listen to this. He puts the headphones on me, and what you're going to hear is what I heard.
Here we go.
Yeah.
That's pretty loud.
It was really loud.
Whoa.
So we don't know if that was some of the camera cases being shoved over, but it was really close to the recorder and on the second floor.
Was Nicolas Cage in that mansion?
No. I mean, he shot stuff there, but he wasn't there. This was overnight.
This was overnight stuff.
Nobody was in the mansion, George. That's the whole point. Nobody was there.
That is really distinctly loud. That's a great sound. Most EVPs, when you hear them on the radio, it's like, that one you could hear the banging around.
Yeah.
Next one is called Gunshot Number 1.
Yeah, so you can hear the banging of this one too, George. I left my recorder in overnight, which I do a lot, just to see if I capture any sounds overnight. And I just wonder if this could possibly be part of the reenactment of what took place that night on the murder-suicide. You'll hear it. Let's hear it.
All right. So when you went in to listen to it, nothing was going on. There was nobody there.
Nope.
We hear that gunshot sound.
Yeah, and there's even an echo to that sound, which is because the mansion is empty.
Did that baffle you when you heard that?
Oh, yeah, I literally had headphones on, and I just hit the space bar and stopped it and just stared at the computer for like 3 or 4 minutes going like, this cannot be. That's a gun. It's a gunshot.
It's another one labeled Gunshot Number 2. Tell us about that.
Okay, so this is a different night, different reading of the same thing where I was just left the recorder in there, and I thought, let's just see what we get. It's another gunshot. It's not quite the same sound. It wasn't as loud, but it's a different gunshot on a different date.
All right, let's hear it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a gunshot.
Yeah.
And that was a couple years before, right?
Yes,
the other one we just heard.
Yep.
Well, that's distinct. Next one is called Spirit Box Ned.
Okay, so my buddy Dan Hernandez, who's the senior ranger here, I bought a spirit box when they came out, not thinking that they actually worked. And the spirit box is like, it's a device that...
It's a telephone to the dead.
There you go. That's even better. And then I also had a K2 meter, which is electromagnetic field meter, and my little recorder. So I gave Dan the recorder and the K2 meter. He turns it on, and suddenly it looks like a Christmas tree. The lights are going nuts, and I go, we've got somebody with us, just joking. And I said, let's go in the living room. And it's 11 o'clock. It's very dark. We go in the living room, and I turn on the spirit box, and I say, if there's anybody in here, could you come forward, please? See the red light? Come toward me and let me know if you're in there. Is there anybody in here? And this is what you'll hear.
Here we go.
What's your name?
That was strange.
Ned.
That was strange.
Right, and that's the name of the guy who was murdered in the house.
That's right. Good point.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying, is there anybody in here? And it goes, Ned.
How about the spirit box that you call Hugh?
Yeah, so that's right after I did the Ned thing, I was like blown away, and I look at Dan, I'm going like, did we just hear what we just heard? And he said, I think we did. So I said, okay, Ned, if that was you, would you do that again? And then we hear this.
Is that you, Ned?
Hard to hear, but there's something there.
Yeah, the next one is, if you listen to it, it's Hugh. Different voice, Hugh. That's the other guy who was killed in the house.
It's the two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are the odds of that happening accidentally?
No, there aren't any. That's
astronomical.
Yeah. Crazy.
Next one is called Stay.
Yeah,
Tell us about
they
that.
shot a television series there, George, and they were shooting the mansion, and that was the working title was Stay. I don't know if it changed. I think it did. And so after that, after they would shoot, usually in the mansion, I would put my recorder in there because there's a lot of activity in the mansion, and it stirs up things. So I put my recorder in there, and this is what you're going to hear for that.
Here we go. What do you think that was?
Well, it had to be some of the props in the set dressing. Just slammed, something was knocked over. And again, when you come in the morning for a film shoot, you don't know if somebody's moved your equipment to get theirs, so you can't really go, oh, that was pushed over. So you never really know.
Next one is an EVP with Ranger Luz.
Yeah. So I was walking Ranger Luz through on my interview through the mansion, and as we got to the servants' wing, we get up toward our break room where this woman hung herself, and as we get closer, she starts getting teary-eyed, she says. And when she says that, there's some advice for her, and then the spirit says something else again, which I think might be in a different language.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I get teary-eyed. It's just the energy.
No, that was a female's voice. Who was it?
Exactly. We don't know. And so and she says, I get teary-eyed.
It sounds like somebody that was like right next to you in the tape recorder.
It must have been. So I get teary-eyed, don't.
That is something.
Really wild.
That is wild. Next one, Historic Kitchen Boys. We got a few more left. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so Steve Clark and myself were in the house. We have two friends, Tim and Matt. They've come to look at the mansion. Matt's never seen it. So we decide, you know what? Let's give them a tour. And it's right around midnight or so. We walk through the mansion and we go into the historic kitchen. And as we're walking in, I'm talking to Tim about the ghost equipment I have because he's mentioned, he goes, yeah, that's kind of cool. And then we hear something.
Here we go.
So what you want to do, Steve? Well, I gotta tell you, man, I felt like there was some wind or air coming through the kitchen, cold air. What was that noise just now? Like a hello? Was that you? What's it going to be on the recorder? Is there anybody here with us?
So, George, at the very beginning, that was cut pretty close, but at the beginning, there is a voice that says, hello?
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere. And I didn't hear it. Nobody heard it except Matt. And he says, what was that voice just now? Somebody said hello. I said, well, I got it in the recorder if it did. And it's plain to hear. It's hard to hear it on the radio, but it's right there.
Here's our last one, Ranger Sean.
Okay, so you're going to have to turn this up a little bit. What I'm doing is I'm up in the attic. I'm interviewing, it's Ranger Chan, and I'm interviewing him up in the attic, and he's telling me about turning this crank that lowers the chandelier that's down at the grand entry so Steve can clean the light.
All right, up and down, up and down.
Up and down. And you're going to hear somebody chime in.
All right.
Open the panel, put the...
That was the whisper. Did you hear that whisper?
Yeah. So we didn't hear it when we were there, but if you listen to it, it's go ahead, get out.
That place is haunted.
It's crazy.
All right, if anybody's been to this mansion, check in with us, and we're going to go to calls now with Keith. So get ready to make your ghostly call. And what do you think of the paranormal first, Keith? What do you think of ghosts?
Well, I didn't believe in them. And when I started working here, it was apparent to me. They shot a Sprite commercial here, and a guy ran out of the building and said that his box with all these cables moved right across the floor in front of him.
Wow!
When I first started working, I went, "Uh-oh, this place is nuts."
And he wanted nothing to do with the place.
Nothing. I still don't.
Let's go to Diana in the city of New York. Welcome to the show. Hi, Diana.
Hi, I'm a tireless listener. I listen every night. Your show is fantastic.
Well, thank you for your support.
Anyway, Jean Harlow's old house on Easton Drive, where she lived with her husband, Paul Byrne. is supposedly haunted by the ghost of Paul Byrne. Both Sharon Tate and Mamie Van Doren have written that they saw the ghost of Paul Byrne, her husband, who was probably murdered by his ex-wife, his enraged ex-wife. You know, you don't marry Jean Harlow when you're already married to somebody else. Not a good idea.
No, not a good idea.
No. So anyway, so supposedly she went to see him and shot him, and poor Jean was in the house, and she called Howard Strickling, the PR man at Metro, and she said, get out of the house right now, go to your mother's house, just stay there, I'll handle this. And he did. Anyway, the house was bought circa 1965 by, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Jay Sebring. You know what happened to him?
Yeah, he was part of the Tate LaBianca murders.
Exactly. And today that house is known as the definitive jinxed house. It's privately owned. There are no tours. But I mean, you know, what can I say?
What do you think? You're going to have to branch out, Cleet, and start covering all these other ones.
Yeah, I know about that house, actually. And it is, in fact, up above Greystone here was Gypsy Rose Lee's house. And they say that she's been seen on this property as well.
The burlesque dancer.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's you got it. Just historical things out there, isn't there?
Yep.
Let's go to Dave in West Hills, California. Hi, David. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, how are you?
Great, David. Thanks for calling.
I'll reiterate what she just said because I am a faithful listener too. And George, you're great, and you got a great crew. And also, I just wanted to say, I'm sure your guest remembers when, like, the American Film Institute was centered at the Greystone Mansion.
Yep, sure do.
Yeah, that was in the early 80s. I was interning there.
Whoa.
Okay.
Did you ever see anything, David, haunted?
Yeah, I saw. Well, yeah, and then I'd go into Jack Valente's office, president.
Head of the union or something, wasn't he?
Motion picture maker.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice guy. But so you know how movies are when you're working 16 hours a day and stuff. So I was living in my grandpa's in Sherman Oaks, but so sometimes I'd be delivering scripts or I'd be doing acting or I'd, you know, doing cinematography, and we'd be in the theater there. But sometimes when it got really late and they let me stay in one of the rooms, and I didn't know now, but I can't believe I'm listening to George. And then I remember I heard some knocks, and then sometimes I'd be sleeping there, and then I'd hear that thing, and then I'd look out the window and I'd see some weird stuff, like almost what you said, like a lady that was glowing, like
glowing.
I thought it was like, what, is somebody else filming? I thought it was part of the movies or something.
Did you know it was haunted at the time, David?
Well, they said rumors that maybe the ghost Ned was around. Yeah, a little bit. Like sometimes, you know, we'd be eating, and, you know, and I'd wander around and check the place out. But I went down to the bowling alley that you were just talking about. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, hey, how do you like the place? And all that. I'm all by my, and he was really nice though. And then I thought, and then one time I was there, and this older gentleman, like, and there were other people around too. And I was talking to them, and they thought I was rehearsing my lines. Oh, are you rehearsing the lines? I'm like, no, I'm talking to the elder gentleman right here. And they're all, what elder?
Oh, boy, I love that stuff. They're still out there, Cleet.
Oh, yeah, they're there.
People are seeing them and everything else. Has anybody been hurt? Not somebody who died at the mansion or anything, but I mean spectators.
Yes, we had a woman who was a ranger back probably in the 70s, it might have been, 70s, 80s, and she was shoved down the stairs, head over heels, George.
By a ghost?
Yes. And there was somebody with her who's now a DA in, I won't say what city, a DA. He wouldn't come and talk to me about it, but he did talk to Ranger Steve before he came here for a tour and talked to Steve and said, yes, that actually happened. She went to the police department, filed a record, and then left.
And there was nobody else behind her?
No.
That you could see?
Nope. Walking down the stairs, boom, she flies.
Off to Portland, Oregon we go. Elise is with us. Thanks for calling, Elise.
Hi. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was the second or third clip he played with the lady's voice. I just wanted to know if you could elaborate on that.
With the lady's voice, yeah. I think you're talking about the one with Luz, who said, don't.
That was very distinctive, too.
Yeah, so...
I mean, I thought she was somebody with you folks.
No, and it is that clear. But we didn't hear it, and she says don't, telling Luz not to be teary-eyed, not to be emotional. And then Luz kept talking, and when Luz stopped, the voice says, and we think it might be in another language, it says, it sounds like Ennis house brick. Plain as day. I'm going like, what does that mean? So I was hoping I could find out if it might have been a different language or something, but plain, just like the don't.
How many total people have died in that mansion?
Well, I think there'll probably be right around 5 or 6.
Jeez, there's a mansion here in St. Louis where I am right now called the Lemp Mansion.
Heard of it?
It was owned by the Lemp Brewery family.
Oh, yeah.
This was the days when the Anheuser-Busch family and the Lemp family were, going at it, trying to sell beer and everything else. And a number of the Lemp family members committed suicide in this mansion.
Yeah.
And it's apparently haunted. And every Halloween, I don't know if it's open up tomorrow, but every Halloween they've opened it up as a haunted house.
Oh, man.
They got people hiding behind couches and they pop up at you and things like that. But again, tragedy hits. Now, here's my question. Is it the mansion that makes the tragedy, or is it the tragedy that makes the mansion haunted?
That is a fantastic question, because I think it might have been the tragedy that opened a portal. Because we were told, have you ever heard of a psychic named Peter James?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So Peter James showed up one day. We brought him inside, and he walked in, and he looked up to the second floor landing, pointed to the corner, and said, "You've got a portal here." We're like,
he felt it.
And then another psychic, Chris Fleming, who is very well known now, he came in, he goes and points to that corner and says, "Do you know you have a portal here?"
Has the medium Chip Coffey ever been out that way?
No, but Chip was here in the early, I think the 70s, something like that. Because they shot Dark Shadows here, and he was a big fan.
That's right.
And he actually gave a quote for my book, because he's a great guy, and he's really good at what he does as well.
Oh, my God, he really is. So stay with us, Clete. We're going to take a quick break and come back with final phone calls with you in just a moment on Coast to Coast. Our special guest, Clete Keith, used to work at this mansion, the Greystone Mansion in Beverly Hills, California. His book is called Ghosts of Greystone. Back with your final calls in a moment.
Always on your phone? Then you'll be happy to know the Coast website is now optimized for mobile users. Just point your iPhone or Android browser to coasttocoastam.com and enjoy.
I'm Bill Seward from the 24-hour KFI News. Governor Newsom has visited Valencia to open a COVID testing lab.
Newsom says the lab will increase the state's testing capacity by at least 75%.
134,000 gross square feet in this state-of-the-art facility. Some of the best equipment.
Newsom says the current cost of each PCR COVID test is $150.
We're going to be able to get these tests down to $30.78.
The PCR test will be turned around in 24 to 48 hours, and when the lab hits full capacity, it'll be able to handle 150,000 tests a day, and the lab will employ 700 workers. Chris Carlo, KFI News.
SoCal weather from KFI. Low clouds and fog overnight will give way to sunshine and highs in the 70s along the coast. 80s in the metro LA and Orange County areas, upper 80s to 90 in the Valley and the Inland Empire. We lead local. From KFI's 24-hour newsroom, I'm Bill Seward.
All lanes closed downtown LA to 101 southbound. The 10 to the 5 at Caltrans work till around 7 o'clock in the morning. The northbound side of the 101 also closed between the 5 and 4th Street until around 6 a.m. Take the 5 of the 110 instead. In Montebello on the eastbound side of the 60, Finley to the 605, 3 right lanes take it away until around 8 o'clock for roadwork as well. Westbound 60, Finley to the 710, 3 right lanes closed until about 7 o'clock. And Pomona on the westbound side of the 10 from the 57 to Holt, it is a 4 right lane shutdown till 7. KFI in the sky helps you to there faster. Lucky
investors like appreciation with high cash flow. The Federal Reserve is boosting real estate markets now with super low long-term interest rates. And where we build, it's booming. Founded in 2006 with a 15-year track record, NRIA gives you steady cash flow backed by $1.2 billion of new construction development. NRIA is accepting investors for our Class A real estate fund. You'll receive reliable 10% return electronic payments, passive tax-deferred income with bonuses to 21% on prime residential buildings. You're inflation protected with large rental buildings and diversified in 18 prime real estate developments, avoiding stock market risk. Call us now and do the math on our prime developments. See for yourself. NRIA. Come do the math. It works. Just call 201-210-2727. That's 201-210-2727. An offer to buy or sell any security is only made by our private placement memorandum. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Returns are annualized. National is a real estate development firm. See us at NRIA.net.
Do you have coins, jewelry, or precious metals and are looking to sell for top dollar? Sil DiGenova, CEO and owner of Tangible Investments, has become legendary by beating his so-called competitors' offers on these items by as much as 500%.
I had a diamond ring that's been an heirloom in my family for many years, so I went to a local jewelry store and they offered me $600. I just wasn't comfortable. I took it down to Tangible Investments and they offered me over $6,000. That store is absolutely awesome.
Stories like these are why Tangible Investments has become America's top dealer in precious metals, jewelry, and collectibles, and why Sil has been featured on CNBC and quoted on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Over the past 30 years, Tangible Investments has bought billions in collectibles. That's billions with a B. Right now, demand is through the roof. Sil encourages all his clients to shop the competition and then call him last. You'll be amazed at the difference. Guaranteed. Call now for an absolutely free, professional, no obligation appraisal. 800-711-2800. 800-711-2800. 800-711-2800.
Hi, this is Larry Miller from Sit and Sleep. You know, there's a lot that's new at Sit and Sleep. Yeah, like me. Hi, I'm Drew Miller, Larry's son, and I'm proud to be the third generation of the Miller family to work at Sit and Sleep. Only Sit and Sleep has bed match that scientifically recommends the right mattress for you. Plus, you can shop the way you want, in-store, online, or a combination of the two. And we'll beat anyone's advertised price, or your mattress is free! You still got the pipes, Dad. Thanks, son.
iHeartRadio salute to veterans with Dirks Bentley.
Hey y'all, this is Dirks Bentley. Just want to say happy Veterans Day to all the vets out there.
This Veterans Day, hear stories from the heroes themselves. Download and subscribe to the Vets You Should Know wherever you listen to podcasts.
Ford has a long history of supporting our service members. Now, Ford is continuing that tradition with Proud to Honor, an initiative supporting military organizations such as Disabled American Veterans and Blue Star families. Learn more at FordProudToHonor.com.
KFI AM 640.
Going to a party but no one's still alive. Waiting for an invitation to arrive. We're going to a party but no one's still alive. I was struck by lightning, walking down the street. I was hit by something like something in my sleep. It's a dead man's party. Who could ask for more? Everybody's coming, leave your body at the door. Leave your body at the door. Gone away.
To talk to George Norrie, call the wildcard line at 818-501-4109. The first-time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk toll-free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies, toll free, call 800-618-8255. To reach George via Skype, use Skype name George97313. Send George a text message anytime at 818-298-6521. From the gateway to the west, this is Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
Next hour, we begin our traditional Ghost to Ghost program. Ghost open lines and listener email ghost stories, so get ready for that. And we'll be back in a moment with Cleet Keith and take final calls with him in a moment on Coast to Coast AM as well. Ghost Insiders, I invite you all to become one.
Hi, this is Angelina in Redondo Beach, and I love being a Coast to Coast Insider because I can tune in at any time of day.
Hi, I'm Julio from Slidell, Louisiana, and I really like being an insider because of all the interesting information.
Hi, this is Ariel from San Diego, California, and I love being a Coast Insider because I can listen to any show, anytime, anywhere, if I'm in the garden or in the kitchen, taking a walk on the beach, and there's no more sleepless nights for me. It's amazing. Give it a try.
Give it a try. It's 15 cents a day, and you can sign up by going to coasttocoastam.com. At the top of the homepage, just click Coast Insider, and there you are. Looking for ways to preserve youth? This is one step short of a miracle.
Instant beauty, stunning results that best describes instantly ageless. A velvety microcream applied lightly on forehead wrinkles, eyebrows, under eye bags, crow's feet, facial pores, and hooded eyes. Within minutes, skin is tight and smooth. No needles, no pain. And great for women and men. Here's what people are saying about instantly ageless.
I've probably noticed in the past 5 years that my eyes have gained a lot of fine lines, wrinkles, my crow's feet have gotten deeper. Wow, I was hoping for 5 years, but that's like what my eyes looked like 10 years ago.
That is really cool. Wrinkle gone. It's easy. Just put it on your finger and go. Now I wish I had more down here because I can still see one wrinkle. It's bugging me.
I am a little bit emotional. I'm turning 40. I didn't think would be a big deal to me, but that looks like the me that I feel like inside instead of what I see when I look in the mirror.
Instant results with Instantly Ageless. Now Instantly Ageless is shipped for free with smart delivery. Just use discount code George. If you would like to sample Instantly Ageless, order our hassle-free starter kit with free shipping for only $19.99. Instantly Ageless is not available in stores, so order today at healthylooking.com. That's healthylooking.com. Or by phone, 800-604-3129. 800-604-3129, 24/7. Instantly Ageless from healthylooking.com.
Hey, how do the big phone carriers hook you in? I mean, the real big ones. Well, they charge you ridiculously high monthly fees for data that you never need and perks that you'll never use. That's why you need to switch over to Pure Talk. They are the ones that will be very fair with you, and they'll give you the same quality, same towers they use. You get the same great coverage, but at half. Unlimited talk, text, 2 gigs of data for just $20 a month. You heard me. $20 a month. The average person is saving at least $400 a year. Their customer service is right here in the U.S., second to none. And look at Consumer Affairs. Pure Talk is the #1 rated wireless company already. And their CEO, thank you for serving, sir, a U.S. Army veteran who understands what it means to serve the United States. Get unlimited talk and 2 gigs of data, all for just $20 a month. Go to puretalk.com. Enter promo code COAST50, and that's with the number 50, COAST50. And when you do, you'll save 50% off your first month. Go to puretalkusa.com, use promo code COAST50.
Look, I'm not a doctor nor a health professional, just a guy interested in health and what makes people healthy, or not. In the U.S., the model of prescribing more and more prescription drugs that cause more and more side effects that lead to even more prescription drugs is making us a sicker nation. All we desire is just the opposite, to be healthier, not sicker. It's time for all of us to be more educated about the important roles proper nutrition and disease prevention play in making us a healthier society. I recommend that you visit the website criticalhealthnews.com, where there's a wealth of information and modular nutrition packages that have already changed many lives for the better. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, please check out the free health audios, videos, and articles at criticalhealthnews.com.
Or call 1-855-949-RADIO. That's 1-855-949-7234. And welcome back to Coast, back with our final segment with Clete Keith as we talk about the Greystone Mansion in Beverly Hills, California. When you first started working there, Clete, what did you think?
Well, I just thought I had been working on a movie, and somebody told me that they'd filmed at Greystone. And I go, what is Greystone? They said it's a mansion. I went, oh, okay. When I started working here, again, I had no idea it was haunted, and one of the rangers came up to me, Steve, and told me his story about how he closed the windows, and he put the alarm on, came out, and those windows were open again. And I went, is this place haunted? That's the first thing I knew, that I knew this place had some kind of activity.
All the ghosts who passed on there are waiting for you.
Well, they really are. I'm not kidding.
They're right outside your door.
Don't say that, George.
I heard them whispering earlier.
George, please, don't say that.
All right, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Don't want to do that. Okay. You ready for more calls?
Yep.
Okay, let's go to Troy in Los Angeles. Hey, Troy, thanks for calling.
Hello there. Hey.
Hi.
Hey, Clete, how are you?
Good. Troy, what's up?
I'm the psychic medium that you took to the house when I met you at the art fair a few years ago. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do, yeah.
So I was like you. I didn't know about the mansion until you told me about it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went there, I was quite surprised, and going through it took everything out of me as an empath and medium. And we picked up some spirits of a maid and a little girl.
That's correct. I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you impressed with the place, Troy, once you went through it?
I was overwhelmed for days, but definitely impressed, yes. And Clete was amazing on the tour. And it took me a couple of days, maybe a week.
Troy, what do you think makes the mansion so strong with these spirits?
I think what makes it so strong with the spirits is all the death there.
Yeah.
And Ned and Hugh's death is the biggest one keeping people there. But there's been a lot of death there, and to me, it was just not a nice place. And the people that were there did a lot of bad things, and I think that's what keeps people there. They want closure.
And could you feel that the minute you went into the mansion? Does it hit you right away?
It did, and I'm one that gets very visceral, and I have a hard time breathing, and you can see it. Anxiety comes over me, and that was the first thing when I walked into the door. I remember walking into the door and telling Clete that there were people killed here. And again, I never heard of the place until Clete told me about it.
Yeah, I remember it. Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks, Troy, for sharing that story with us. Yeah, it's a small world, Clete, huh?
Yeah, and we've had, like Troy said, I've had many people that have been overwhelmed when we walk them in there, literally grabbing their chest, saying, "I can't do this," and running. A police officer, it happened to him. So,
has anybody passed out on a tour or anything like that?
We've had somebody
from being scared.
Yeah, collapse one time. There have been other people that can't breathe. That's another big thing, that they grab their chest and say, I have to leave. Okay. I walk them out, sit them outside in the courtyard, just say, breathe, take it easy. Another woman literally ran away from Steve Clark. He was taking her on a tour, and she just screamed and ran out.
Walter's in Pennsylvania. Hey, Walt, go ahead.
Hi, George. It's always great to be on with you, buddy.
Thank you, Walter.
George, I was wondering if Mr. Keith has any experience with the Winchester mansion you have out there in California. It was built by the eccentric widow of Oliver Winchester, the founder of the Winchester.
The Winchester firearms and guns. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Walter, I never have. I know all about the mansion that she had to keep building, in order, because of the Winchesters had killed so many people. She was told by a psychic, if you continue to build these rooms, you'll be okay. Once you stop, you will be possessed and things will happen to you. So she just kept building rooms that went to nowhere. I know all about that. Yeah.
Well, how did it get so haunted, Cleet?
I don't know. I mean, I think she brought in spirits through doing seances and things, and that's another thing that has happened as well. That we think that Mrs. Doheny in the solarium here was doing some kind of rituals that may have brought in some other spirits as well.
By the way, how did your last name end up being your first name?
Listen, George, I've gone through a lifetime of this, and imagine, it was not my choice, as you know, just so you know.
I bet everybody turns that around, don't they?
They don't not only turn it around, George. They add some things in there that shouldn't be
no, though that's not good. But I bet teachers, when they called you in school, said, Keith Cleet, please.
And they call me Clip and Cliff, and it goes on.
I thought it was a typo when my staff gave it to me earlier, and I went, there is a Cleet. I remember Cletus Boyer used to play for the Cardinals and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's a rare first name, but it's a first name nonetheless.
Yeah, I said some friends of mine, let's see if George gets through the night without saying, Cliff or Cleet.
How'd I do?
You've done really well, actually.
Other than bring up the fact that your last name's your first name.
George, let's not go into that, please.
All right, you got it.
Thank you.
I'm kidding you.
I know you are.
Let's go to first-time caller Myron in Pasadena, California. Hi, Mike. Go ahead.
Hi, George and Cleet. This is a fabulous program.
By the way, you have a voice from God, my friend. Holy Toledo.
Well, thank you. Anyway, I used to live with the Dohenys, one of the grandsons of E.L.
Wow.
Back in the 70s. And they're a very philanthropic family. They owned Doheny Ranch, which is now called Truesdale Estate. Many stars live up in Truesdale. It's about a 400-acre ranch.
Ah, okay.
And Mr. Doheny used to grow oranges up there on the ranch. The family was big into gardening and ranches and so forth. And they would wrap their oranges in tissue paper with their emblem on the tissue paper back in the, way before the 1920s. And they'd ship the oranges to all their customers all over the United States because the rail cars in those days were refrigerated. And that was the first time they could ship everything back east.
Did they ever, Myron, talk about the tragedies at that mansion?
Well, they kept it, under coat because it's kind of a sore subject in a way.
Yeah.
No, I never heard anything. And I know the DA that you talked about. I used to live with him.
Oh, okay.
And the family owned a lot of Beverly Hills. I believe they owned the entire Rodeo Drive area.
Wow, expensive real estate.
Yeah.
The real estate behind that is called El Camino, and that's where they had their offices.
That's correct. Yeah.
E.L. Doheny built the Beverly Wilshire Hotel on Wilshire. No, not Beverly Wilshire. The other one, it's called the Sheraton on Wilshire Drive.
Oh.
That's
the Beverly Hills Wilshire.
Yeah, exactly. And he'd have all his clients stay out there.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting family. Mr. E.L. Doheny had a lot of... They lived in town in Beverly Hills in the area, Brentwood and so forth, and they had ranches all over Southern Cal. One of Mr. E.L. Doheny's favorite ranch was Ferndale Ranch out in Santa Paula.
Well, you echo, Myron, what Cleet has been telling us. They really wanted to sweep this thing right under the carpet, didn't they, Cleet?
Yes, they did. And they did. They succeeded in that. Nobody knew the truth. Still don't.
Let's go to Bill in Los Angeles. Hey, Bill, take it away.
Hi, George and Cleet.
Hi.
I'm a former entertainment reporter. I used to write for the LA Times calendar back in the 80s. And I'm just curious, anyone ever reported seeing a naked ghost?
A naked ghost? I don't think I've heard one on my side, Cleet. How about you?
Yeah, no naked ghosts. There are ghosts that you could see through. I'm not sure that means they're naked, but No naked ghosts. Somebody reported that?
Interesting question, Bill. Why would you ask that?
Yeah.
Well, I think the clothing is a key to what these phenomena might be, because they're not physical beings. So why would they need clothing? And yet they're always reported as having clothing. And I think that's really a key to what's going on, that they may be holograms or something, because they can't get cold if they're not physical, and they don't get embarrassed. So why did, and their original...
The whole time I was there, I tell you, I'm really sensitive to everything. And I was blown away by what you guys are saying, by them telling me that the place was haunted. I thought it was a set when I first got there, and when we were walking around in there, it was like the most comfortable I've ever felt. Everyone else was completely drained all the time. I was having a great time playing pranks on everybody like I was a ghost and stuff. You guys are really blowing me away with this stuff.
Were you on the show when Barnaby Collins was still portraying his role?
No, it was the second one. It was with Ben Cross.
Uh-huh. Oh, what about Quentin Collins? He was the first one too, wasn't he?
I never really got to watch the series, but no, they redid the series. Yeah. And I think it only lasted maybe a season and a half. And I was stand-in and body double for the lead actress on that.
My sister used to love that show. She'd come running home from school just to watch it in the afternoon, Cleet.
Yeah, I think that's what Chip Coffey did too. He really was into it, and he actually came to visit Greystone just because of Dark Shadows.
It was a huge, popular show, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I know the first series was.
Right, enormous. Yeah.
We've got Sam in Michigan. Take it away, Sam.
Hey, you guys.
Hi, Sammy.
By the powers of Gray's tone. Amazing Grace. I have a great story about a pre-Civil War house that had been the scene of a Civil War massacre. It was a Underground Railroad house.
Uh-huh.
And it was particularly haunted by two alleged twins. And I don't know, one had fallen down one of the 3 staircases in the house. I'm not sure. But the guy who lived there was a fanatic about how haunted it was. And I lived there for a while. And yes, indeed, television would go on and off, lights would go on and off and stuff. And before I got there, he'd had a psychic team come. And they'd done some filming and gone around. And in this one room, there were a fireplace was operated to keep it warm. And in this one room, they had filmed in there, and you could see smoke going through. There was formerly a back porch, but then it was converted into room. It was formerly the rear entrance of the house. And in the cloud, there's like 2 puffs of smoke that come rolling through there. And you could clearly see little like arms and legs back and forth. And like 2 kids walking out the back.
Wow.
And then as it pans along the window, you see the smoke going a line, and it makes it 2. And then it makes another 2. And then I'm going to tell you, I started some seeds right in that windowsill, and 2 of them popped 2 seeds. Anyway, he didn't like my friend, and he made me move out. And his girlfriend moved in there. And one day, smoke came out of the fireplace and went supposedly through her, and she dropped to the floor. And she said, "That's it."
And she was done with that place, huh?
They moved out, and she had twins. And he had a picture from before that time of a photograph of the 2 twins that supposedly maybe were haunted in that house. And one of them looks just like...
Oh, wow. Does that carry through sometimes, Cleet?
Yeah, it can. And
they were reborn through these kids.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible. There's also, being jumped by a spirit, and they can go into you and be attached to you. We've had that here as well.
That's something. Cleet, we are out of time, my friend. Again, tell folks where they can get your book, Ghosts of Greystone.
Okay, ghostofgreystone.com. Remember, these are all eyewitness accounts, and you can purchase it at ghostofgreystone.com, and I'll sign the copies. I'll add a couple gifts in there and ship it to you for free. Or they can go to Amazon and order there, as well as the ebook, and the audio book is on its way.
Super. Cleet, thanks again. You're a great guest.
Thank you, George. I appreciate it very much.
Had a great time with you. Up next, Ghost to Ghost, folks. Get ready to make the call and tell us your favorite ghost story, because we're going to do that for the next couple hours.
Find out more about tonight's guest. Log on to coasttocoastam.com.
Hey, buddy, it's Dean Sharp. Your home is your sanctuary, and if you're like me, that has never been truer than this year. You want to stay safe and healthy, which is why I want you to have safe and healthy water that you don't have to keep buying in bottles at the store. With a Life Source whole house water system, you'll never need bottled water again, because you'll have clean, delicious water at every faucet in your house. No salt, no chlorine, no chloramines, and no filters to change or maintenance of any kind for years. Just install it, forget about it, drink it, cook with it, bathe in it, all for less than buying bottled water. LifeSource can preview your plumbing and install a system without entering your home. You buy direct from the Southern California factory. There are no dealers, no middleman. Everything is U.S. made. Call LifeSource today for full service and full confidence in your water. Call them at 800-334-5009. That's 800-334-5009, or visit lifesourcewater.com. LifeSource Water. Taste and feel the difference.
Her job was to drive me to school, but I was her geeky brother. So when we get close to school, she would always tell me, get down in the wheel well. I don't want people seeing that I'm driving you to school.
The Tim Conway Jr. Show.
Did wonders for the old self-esteem, I'll tell you that.
Weeknights at 6 on KFI.
All right. People don't understand chemical castration. I used to think they take away your man marbles. They just take them away. Those man marbles? Yeah.
John and Ken, weekdays 2 to 6 on KFI.
What punishment would you exact on an 8 and 5-year-old who disobeyed you?
No more playing in the woods. They'll play in the house on an iPad. That's what they'll do. You want nature? No. You don't get any nature.
There's an app for that.
Jerry and Shannon.
Yeah.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KFI.
There's a lid for every pot. For every single person, there is a person.
Really?
There's only 7 billion of us. You mean you can't pair off with somebody? Or even find a polyamorous thing? Maybe you get 4 or 5 other people.
As Max taught us, sometimes there's 2 lids.
Jerry and Shannon.
To your pot.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. KFI. KFI AM 640.
It's election season.
We got this. It's kind of what we do.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Talk about absentee ballots. I'm Bill Seward from the 24-hour KFI newsroom. Millions of people in California don't exercise a basic right.
A survey by UCLA shows 10 million eligible voters say they never vote in elections or only vote occasionally. The survey found nearly 3 million people say they never vote in national, state, or local elections, and nearly 8 million only vote sometimes. Researchers asked those who took the survey why they choose not to vote in local elections. 21% said they were not informed. 20% said they forget to vote or don't think about it. For those who said they never or sometimes vote in presidential elections, 28% said it was because they don't like politics or candidates. Deborah Mark, KFI News.
A drug dealer has been given 3 life sentences in Newport Beach for kidnapping and torturing a pot shop owner.
Life without possibility of parole for the kidnapping.
Hussein Naeri did not react as Judge Greg Prickett read the sentence or as John Doe described the trauma of being sexually mutilated in the Mojave Desert in 2012, all for $1 million that didn't exist.
The most gratuitous, sadistic injury inflicted upon me above all others, severing of my penis, What kind of human being does such a thing?
Prosecutors say Nayeri will still be tried for an alleged 10-day jailbreak in 2016 that involved kidnapping a cab driver for a ride to San Francisco. At Harvard Justice Center, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
The fire burning in Orange County near Irvine and Foothill Ranch is now 70% contained. The fire started on October 26th and has burned nearly 13,000 acres. The fire burning in Orange County and San Bernardino County is now 53% contained. That fire started October 26th and has burned more than 14,000 acres. And a greater alarm fire broke out in a building in downtown LA and burned for more than 2 hours before firefighters were able to put it out. Margaret Stewart of the LA Fire Department says the fire was reported about 8 p.m. in a one-story building in the 800 block of South San Julian Street near 8th Street. Nearly 100 firefighters responded to battle the fire. SoCal weather from KFI. Some low clouds and fog overnight will give way to sunshine with highs in the 70s at the beach, 80s in the metro areas, upper 80s to 90 in the valley and Inland Empire. Right now, Calabasas is recording 56 degrees. It's 56 in Arcadia, 54 in Aliso Viejo, and 58 degrees in the city of Orange. We lead local. From KFI's 24-hour newsroom, I'm Bill Seward.
Look out for a crash and car fire in West Covina, eastbound side of the 10 at Pacific Avenue. It's along the right shoulder area. You have a CHP and fire department on the scene there, stopping traffic. Your jams back to Puente Avenue. In La Cañada on the eastbound side of the 210 at Berkshire. It's crashed in the right lane. It's got you back up starting around Gould. And downtown LA, the 101 southbound from the 10 to the 5. All lanes closed by Caltrans till around 7 o'clock in the morning. Northbound side shut down from the 5 to 4th Street till around 6 a.m. Take the 5 or the 110 instead. KFI in the sky help get you there faster. I'm Robert DeBucky.
Investors want high cash flow with appreciation. The Federal Reserve is boosting real estate markets with super low interest rates. And where we build, it's booming. There's an old saying, don't fight the Fed with your investments. Founded in 2006 with a 15-year track record, NRIA gives you steady cash flow backed by $1.2 billion new construction development. NRIA provides reliable 10% return electronic payments monthly of passive income, tax deferred, plus upside bonuses to 21% annually as we sell out. You're inflation protected with large apartment buildings and diversified in 18 prime developments, avoiding stock market risk. Do the math with us. Don't fight the Fed, flow with the Fed. Call 201-210-2727. 201-210-2727. That's 201-210-2727. An offer to buy or sell any security is only made by our private placement memorandum. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Returns are annualized. National is a real estate development firm. See us at nria.net.
Do you have coins, jewelry, or precious metals and are looking to sell for top dollar? Sil DiGenova, CEO and owner of Tangible Investments, has become legendary by beating his so-called competitors' offers on these items by as much as 500%.
I had a diamond ring that's been an heirloom in my family for many years, so I went to a local jewelry store and they offered me $600. I just wasn't comfortable. I took it down to Tangible Investments, and they offered me over $6,000. That store is absolutely awesome.
Stories like these are why Tangible Investments has become America's top dealer in precious metals, jewelry, and collectibles, and why Sil has been featured on CNBC and quoted on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Over the past 30 years, Tangible Investments has bought billions in collectibles. That's billions with a B. Right now, demand is through the roof. Sil encourages all his clients to shop the competition and then call him last. You'll be amazed at the difference. Guaranteed. Call now for an absolutely free, professional, no-obligation appraisal. 800-711-2800. 800-711-2800. 800-711-2800.
Hey, it's Dean. You know, lately I've been telling you how Sunlux only works with top-tier equipment, like the Tesla Powerwall. Well, Sunlux and LG have just partnered up to offer the new cutting-edge LG panels with integrated microinverters. Now, it's all a bit technical, but it means less equipment clutter on your home, better performance, and the best warranty in the industry, backed by both Sunlux and LG. The Sunlux commitment to the very best is just one of the reasons for their mind-blowing energy production guarantee. Your solar will produce exactly what it's supposed to over its entire life, or Sunlux will pay you the difference. Dean, can they really do that? Yeah. It's why I keep telling you there are only two kinds of solar companies in Southern California: Sunlux and everyone else. Call Sunlux today. Dial pound 250 on your cell and say Sunlux. Pound 250 Sunlux, or on the web at sunlux.com. CSLB 1008374.
KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk.
Fall asleep.
she loved me. Cut her down and was an ordinary night in June. When he drove her to the lake so they could watch the full moon. The ghost who walked trees on the ground. For the man she loved, he laid it down. And the tall grass he kissed her cheek. But with a knife in his hand, he plunged it in deep. She looked at him with pleading eyes. He softly spoke, my dear, the love has died. And then he muffled her desperate cries under the moonlight.
To talk to George Norrie, call the wildcard line at 818-501-4109. The first-time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk toll-free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies, toll-free, call 800-618-8255. To reach George via Skype, use Skype name George97313. Send George a text message anytime at 818-298-6521. This is Ghost to Ghost AM with George Norrie.
Well, welcome to our traditional Ghost to Ghost program. And in most time zones now, we're into Halloween morning. So here we go. It's going to be a full moon tonight, a blue moon. It should be exciting. The sad part about all of this is because of the threat of COVID-19 and whatever it may mean, a lot of people have decided to stay home, to keep their kids home. As a matter of fact, 3 professors from Northwestern University's Feinberg School of Medicine have basically told parents with the threat of COVID-19, trick-or-treating may not be safe this year and that kids should be kept home. Only 12% of the U.S. households will go trick-or-treating this year versus 24% last year, according to a study. And families say they're still going to give out some candy this year, but that's down significantly from nearly 40%. And most people who celebrate, they're going to carve their pumpkins, watch scary movies at home. Some 41% will not celebrate at all because of COVID-19. We will celebrate wherever you may be tonight on Ghost to Ghost with your incredible phone calls, scary stories, ghost stories. And of course, as you know, over the past month, Tom has asked some of you to send in email stories of which he has read them. And those that he has selected, he has called you back, and he'll get you on the program as well. So we will be back with Ghost to Ghost in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. Let me talk about Easy Flow for a moment. If you wear a mask, you know how uncomfortable it is. You're breathing in that same old stifled air over and over again, and it's not healthy. It is not healthy at all. What we have with the Easy Flow system is something that if you wear a mask all day, you do not want to be without this. It's designed to make wearing a mask more bearable and very comfortable, pushing fresh, filtered air constantly into your mask. 3 speeds, low, medium, high. I keep mine on medium. Great for travel, grocery stores, wherever you may go. And a couple ways you can wear it: directly attached to the mask or with the magnet attachment, which is what I use. It's very convenient. How do you get this? Incredible, affordable unit, by the way. It's not big and bulky. It's about as small as a little wallet. Easy Flow, fresh air anywhere. Visit easyflowusa.com. Promo code George. You'll save some money just by doing that. easyflowusa.com, and then use my name George for a discount.
Real people, real stories.
So I had an appointment with the surgeon, and he told me what all he was going to do, and it was just absolutely horrendous. I came home, I started on Carnivora, and I called and canceled my surgery, and she said, "Are you going someplace else?" I said, "No, I'm taking care of it myself." She said, "Okay," and my problem on my skin went away.
I have bruising that's all over my arms. 3 weeks after I was on the carnivore, I noticed, I'm looking at my arms and I said, gee, I don't have any bruises on my arms, and I'm always full of bruises. I can't put my finger on it, but I know something's happening. I have to tell you, that has to be the carnivore.
Call 866-836-8735. That's 866-836-8735. Or visit carnivore.com. That's CARNIVORA.com. Use coupon code George to get 15% off your order.
I see dead people.
There is magic in the night when pumpkins glow by moonlight. Happy Halloween from Dr. Scott.
I tell you, I'm not going to get any sleep with all these sound effects that Tom and Dan have put together for us tonight. That's kind of spooky, isn't it? But I'm looking forward to this. It's our tradition. It started with Art Bell a long, long time ago, and we carry it through. Most of the time, we do Ghost to Ghost on Halloween night. Halloween, of course, into Saturday. So we figured, hey, let's do it on a Friday. And so we have begun, and we're taking your ghost stories. So they're open line, but ghost stories, that's what we're going to hold you to tonight. And let's begin by going to Michelle in Walnut Ridge, Arkansas, to get us started. Michelle, welcome to the program.
Hi, George.
Hi, what do you got for us?
Well, I was going to tell you about when I received a visit from the spirit of my cat.
Oh, the spirit of your cat. All right, tell us about this.
Well, this happened back in 2003, and I had been away on a trip to see family, so I was gone for 3 or 4 days. And my cat was 17 years old, but in pretty good health. When I got home, I couldn't find her anywhere. And also in the family room, I have a big mahogany entertainment center that's a good 5 foot tall and was crowded with picture frames. And when I went into the family room, there were 2 pictures or 2 frames that had fallen onto the carpet. One was me as a child, and it was face down. And then the other was Kitty face up with the glass shattered.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was kind of strange. And along with the fact that I couldn't find her, I kind of suspected that something had happened.
You could feel that, couldn't you?
Yeah. And then when my brother lived with me at the time, and when he got home from work, he confirmed that she did indeed pass while I was gone. And a day or so later, when I went to bed, I just got into bed, so I was definitely not asleep. And I thought I heard something. And before I could really think about what was that I heard, I also heard something jump onto the end of the bed.
Oh, felt it too, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I felt it. And I had my eyes closed, and I could feel how it always felt when she jumped onto the bed and walked up along beside me, and she would stop at the head of, at my head and curl up and go to sleep.
Oh, sweet.
And I felt all of that. I didn't, when she got up to where my head was, I could sense that she was there, but I should have opened my eyes to see if I could have seen her, but I felt so guilty for not being there when she passed that all I could do was I just kept telling her I was sorry for not being there.
How old was she, Michelle?
She was 17.
That's a pretty good run for a cat, isn't it?
Yeah, I got her when she was 8 weeks old on my 14th birthday.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
She was one of your best buddies, wasn't she?
Yeah. But, like after about 30 seconds or so, I could tell that she wasn't there anymore. I just couldn't, that she just slowly, faded away. And, I didn't get any more visits from her that I know of. But, when I was thinking about this story, I'm in a different home now. And about a couple months ago, I felt a cat jump onto the end of the bed. And that was all. I didn't feel any walking up or anything of that sort. But, you know, I kind of wonder if it was her.
Does it comfort you if you believe it's her?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because I feel like she came to say goodbye.
Well, you know, and she did it in her own way. That's right. She gave you the closure. Michelle, thanks for being on the program. Great story. Let's go east of the Rockies. Bill is with us in the state of Florida. Hello, Bill. Thanks for calling.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I sure can, sir. Yes, I can.
Yeah, I'm down here in St. Augustine, Florida.
Okay.
And when we first came down here about 10 years ago, we went down to a paranormal investigation at the old Spanish military hospital here in St. Augustine, which is definitely haunted. And while we were there, the ghost made a table move slightly up on the second floor. This is like at about 3 o'clock in the morning. And so we went up there and we were able to communicate with a spirit using a mini mag light that was partially screwed in. And the ghost could make the light blink to answer our questions.
Oh, that's fantastic. You had an ability to communicate with the ghost.
Yeah, so that's a technique that can be used to communicate. And so if you're ever in St. Augustine, you might want to check out the old Spanish military hospital.
What kind of questions did you ask the ghost, Bill?
Well, we asked, my wife Susan and I, we asked the ghost various questions, try to determine the name. And so we were guessing various names and came up with the answer that the name's Maria. And that was the ghost of a nurse who had once worked at the hospital.
Did she ever say how she died?
No. But we were asking, like, were you in love with one of the soldiers or something like that? And it said, I blinked yes, stuff like that.
Oh, that's great. I love that story. Thanks, Bill. Interesting way to communicate with the other side. We go next to Carolyn in DeSoto, Missouri. I know where that place is. Hi, Carolyn.
Hello, George. Happy Halloween.
You too. Are you going out for Halloween, dressing up, or just going to stay home?
No, we're just going to stay home and just enjoy yourself here. I have a haunted story for you.
Okay, fire away.
The haunted Oddfellows Cemetery in Granite City with Dr. Tyler and Lucinda Irish.
Okay.
They're my great-great-grandparents. And this is a story about an oil painting that they had. And I'm looking at it right now. My great-great-grandfather was a medical doctor. With him and his wife and children, they lived in a large farm in Mamioki, Illinois. In 1892, a traveler wandering through the countryside stopped at the Irish house. The traveler stated that he was an artist. And it was agreed that the artist could stay at the farm for a few days. And in exchange, he would paint them a picture. So the next day, the traveler took the paints and set up an easel next to the barn where Dr. Tyler's prized carriage horse, Black Hawk Morgan, was stabled and began to paint. Gillian, Dr. Tyler and Lucinda's youngest daughter, was convinced that she was going to be part of the painting. So each day, as the traveler painted, Gillian, with her best ribbons in her hair, and she wore her best Sunday dress, sat perched next to Black Hawk Morgan, anxiously waiting for the completion of his composition. After a few days, the painting was revealed. A beautiful oil painting. Black Hawk Morgan was the subject of the picture, standing at attention, nobly looking in front of his stable. His head appeared to be craned. He was looking out into the field, staring over in the pasture, glaring at a train. But Dr. Tyler and Lucinda were pleased, but Gillian wasn't, because she wasn't in the picture. But the artist gave the painting to Gillian, which didn't make her very happy.
Uh-huh.
The next day, the traveler left and he disappeared. So, as the story goes, a couple of nights later, on a cold, foggy, rainy night in 1893, not long after the traveler had left the farm, Dr. Tyler received word that one of his patients had gotten ill. So Dr. Tyler quickly headed to the stable, hitched up Black Hawk Morgan to his carriage, and the doctor and the horse took off throughout the night. At some point in their travels, they were going uphill. Black Hawk Morgan slipped in the mud, fell, and rolled the carriage over, killing himself and Dr. Tyler Irish.
Oh, my gosh.
So the doctor and his horse took their final ride, never returning. The painting was taken down and stored out of sight. Jillian moved to St. Louis in 1900 and eventually married a very successful businessman. The painting remained in her possession. She never hung the painting in her home. It would remain in storage. In Jillian's mind, why would she display a portrait of the murder of her father? That's what she thought of the horse. Jillian, with her husband and her 3 daughters, lived a pretty privileged life. But as the story goes, on a cold, foggy, rainy night in 1926, Jillian's husband was messaged coming to work. He got into his car, headed towards the office. The rain was coming down hard, and there was very, very foggy. He never saw or heard a train as he crossed the railroad tracks. It was a Hudson locomotive, one of the fastest trains built in 1920. It had multiple wheels. The Iron Horse had taken Jillian's husband.
Oh, what a tragedy.
So my grandmother, Jillian's daughter, gave the painting to my mother in 1970. By now, the painting was stripped from the frame and rolled up, wrapped in a sheet. My mother had the painting reframed and appraised. The appraisal came back reading, excellent condition, master art, canvas painted 1890s, well executed, no signature, all original oils, no cover-up or repair. The only thing they could not figure out was the 1890s painting of the horse with its neck craned, looking out into the pasture, staring at the train. The train was a 1920s Hudson train. So what we can't figure out, was the traveler an artist of the 1890s, or is he a time traveler of the 1920s?
That's a good question. That is a good question. But and where's the painting now?
We have it hanging at my father's house.
Is that still a good idea to keep it around?
I think it's great.
All right. Thanks, Carolyn, for that story. Appreciate that. Let's take a couple more calls before the break as we continue with Ghost to Ghost. Kevin on the international line. He's in Canada. Hi.
Hey, George. It's been a long time.
Thank you, sir. Everything well in Canada?
Well, everything's well here. Yes, George. I'd like to talk about a ghost from my past.
Okay.
Came back. I'm here to talk about a ghost from my past that came back to haunt me in quite a strong fashion this past April.
All right. What happened?
I was visiting Robinson, Illinois for Christmas 1998. My father was married to a woman from there, so that's why we were there. I was walking back to my stepmother's house from the video store when a strange man pulled up in his truck and tried to lure me into his vehicle.
Oh,
I was 14 years old at the time.
Jeez.
I was smart enough to run away.
Good man. Good boy.
2 other boys weren't so lucky.
Oh, no.
This is a story you know very well, George, being in the St. Louis area. I cannot name any names right now because there's an ongoing FBI investigation going on.
Right.
But fast forward 21 and a half years, I'm doing research on human trafficking, and I just search on YouTube, missing child found alive, because that's what, the folks that got Operation Underground Railroad, they try to.
And was that you?
No. I came across a story that the St. Louis area knows very well, and I clicked on the documentary, and they showed a kidnapper, and they showed his mugshot. And it was the same guy from 1998.
You remember him? Wow.
That face haunted me for over 20 years, George. 20 years. And I finally got his name this past April. I'm exorcising that demon, the worst kind of demon that our society has ever produced.
Is he still alive or is he dead now?
He's incarcerated right now. And because of what he did to the other 2 boys.
Good.
I cannot name any names right now because it's an ongoing investigation, but I have pressed charges against that individual, and it went from Crawford County, Illinois. Their sheriff, I spoke with Sheriff Rotana there in Crawford County. I spoke with their investigator, and they are taking this very seriously.
Well, God was with you that day, Kevin.
Well, the funny thing is, George, I guess it's another ghost story. It was on April 12th of this year that I found out about this demon, and it was 2 days after my grandmother had died. I went back up to Iroquois Falls to be with my dad because of it. And I think my dad thinks that my grandmother probably led me to that revelation.
Yeah, she helped you out.
Well, maybe. But I'm just hoping that this guy's going to do like he did with the other 2 and fess up to what he tried to do.
Does it give you closure?
It will once I get my piece of the pie.
Yeah.
You know, once I get my 10 years for what he tried to do, absolutely.
Give us an update on that when it happens, okay?
Well, George, check your email. I sent you an email on this about several days ago.
All right, send me another one because I get thousands every day, Kev.
All right, George, check your inbox. You're going to read a 19-page report that I had signed as a legal affidavit.
Okay, send it again.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, my friend. And yep, God was with you that way. Joe in Monterey, California. Go ahead, Joseph.
Thank you, George, and happy Halloween.
You too.
So, my friend and I and some friends, we are doing some ghost busting, and there's a place, it's a water reserve, and it's off limits. It's federal land. You can't go in there. You get arrested. But we found our way inside this place, and we were going in. It's known for Native Americans. They called it the Valley of Floating Heads.
The Valley of Floating Heads?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
And for a good reason. So we went in there, we took some photographs of different things. As we're walking in, to the left of us, going in, there was a green mist over the water, and it was following us. We were taking some photos of orbs and stuff. We checked out the place, and on the way out, my friend, we took photos of each other, and you could see the astral body of one of my friends, and it was ahead of him. And my other friend, this girl that I know, she's my good friend still, and she starts to scream, and we took a photo of her, and there was this apparition. You could see it, and it was biting her neck.
Biting her neck, and you could clearly make it out, couldn't you? Wow.
You can see, like, it's a ghostly figure. And you can say, well, that's a purge. That's like a ghost. Okay, it was biting her neck. On the way out, I tried to get in touch with my guides, because that's why I went in there to see if they could photograph this.
Sure.
And they said, okay. I told them, okay, right over here. It wasn't deep into the vortex. It's more towards the beginning of it, because it was too negative for us to do anything. Sometimes batteries would go dead. A lot of other
that happens. Yeah.
Well, I told them, wait, and I'll tell you when to shoot. And I closed my eyes. I sent out a call. I felt their presence, and the young lady, a different person, took a photo of this, and she said something that I can't repeat. I said, oh, you know, me. And there was like these two huge orbs on either side of me, and one in the front, and a streak of white light coming, like it was like taking off or something.
Well, you're lucky, though, that you're a spiritual guide, Joe. We'll be back with more Ghost to Ghost stories.
Body in the ground, it touched Elisha's bones. The dead man rose up with a shout, great God, what's going on? There's something going on in the graveyard I ain't never seen. The saints are coming up from the ground. Oh, can't you hear them sing? With the resurrection power and glory all around. There's something going on in the graveyard. The saints are here and
KFI News on the hour. And when it breaks.
I'm Bill Seward from the 24-hour KFI newsroom. A key advisor in the Trump administration has sat down with the leaders of the Armenian community in LA to talk about the crisis in Artsakh.
National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien says the administration is walking a line of neutrality.
The United States is deeply concerned about the escalation of violence between Azerbaijan and Armenia, especially reports of strikes in areas of significant civilian populations.
O'Brien says there are no indications that Azerbaijan intends to stop offensive operations. He says armed peacekeeping forces on the ground should not include U.S. troops.
But the best way that we can help at this point, we believe, is to play the role of peacemaker.
O'Brien says the administration is working with Scandinavian governments to put together a peacekeeping force. For San Carlo, KFI News.
Armenia and Azerbaijan have pledged to avoid targeting residential areas. SoCal weather from KFI. Low clouds and fog overnight, giving way to sunshine. Highs in the 70s at the beach, 80s in the metro areas, upper 80s to 90 in the valley and IE. We lead local from KFI's 24-hour newsroom. I'm Bill Seward.
Problems in Long Beach on the southbound side of the 405 at Studebaker. It's crashing car fire that have all lanes shut down. Your 10 back starting at Bellflower Boulevard. In West Covina, all lanes have been stopped on the eastbound side of the 10 at Pacific Avenue. The carpool in the left lane still shut down here. The rest of the lanes have reopened according to CAP. Still seeing heavy delays from Wednesday Avenue and all lanes shut down downtown LA. The 101 northbound between the 5 and 4th Street. Caltrans work till 6 a.m. Southbound side shut down between the 10 and the 5 until 7 o'clock. Take the 5 and the 110. KFI and the Sky help you get faster. I'm Robert Bucky.
Contractor license 1047781.
In 1996, John Scalinas walked on stage at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville to speak to 4,000 baseball coaches. He was 78 years old. He was wearing home plate around his neck. Scalinas said, "How many Little League coaches do we have in the room?" Hundreds of hands went up. How wide is home plate in Little League? Someone shouted 17 inches. How wide is home plate in high school baseball? 17 inches. College coaches, how wide is your home plate? 17 inches. And how wide is home plate in the major leagues? The whole auditorium thundered 17 inches. Then he asked, when a pitcher can't get it across home plate, do we widen the plate for him? You know the answer to that one. John Scalinas believes in doing things the right way, not the easy way. Plumbers and AC techs who do things the easy way have to go to work somewhere else. Gettle hires only the elite, the masters of their craft. We don't adjust the size of home plate. The right way, not the easy way.
I love tech, I love gadgets, but I don't love the hassle of getting things to work. That's why I'm not just a Hello Tech customer, but I'm a Hello Tech member. The Hello Tech membership gives me access to US-based technology experts 24/7. If your Zoom is not working, they'll get you conferencing again. Need a virus removed? Done. Slow computer? They'll speed it up. Online and phone help is unlimited for members. Call every day if you like. If you need expert in-person help, like installing smart home devices, fixing horrible Wi-Fi, they do it. And Hello Tech members save up to 50%. Hello Tech recently came to my home and installed a camera that I've been putting off for years. Hello Tech handled it. So I got a special deal here, and you can join me as a Hello Tech member. Get a free in-home technology checkup, plus free antivirus and password protection software. That's a $200 value for free. Go to hellotech.com/radio. hellotech.com/radio. Sign up and become a member like me. hellotech.com/radio.
Looking for safe and fun ideas to celebrate Halloween this year? How about films full of fright? And stay in with the fam for a spooky movie night. Did you know that your costume can still bring the screams through a screen? Dress up the whole family and hold an online contest for the win. And why not swap trick-or-treating for a candy scavenger hunt? Trade the front door for the backyard and have lots of scary good fun. To learn how to keep your family safe, visit covid19.ca.gov. This message was brought to you by the Center at Sierra Health Foundation.
KFI AM 640. I put a spell on you. Because you're mine. You better stop the thing that you do. I said, oh, watch out, I ain't lying. Yeah, I ain't gonna take none of your fooling around. I ain't gonna take none of your putting me down. I put a spell on you. Cause you're mine. All right.
To talk to George Norrie, call the wild card line at 818-501-4109. The first time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk toll free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies, toll free, call 800-618-8255. To reach George via Skype, use Skype name George97313. Send George a text message anytime at 818-298-6521. This is Ghost to Ghost AM with George Norrie.
I love it. I love it. Fantastic. Having a great night. We'll be back in a moment with more of your ghost-to-ghost phone calls. We'll do it again next hour as well. ParanormalDate.com. This is something now. We're only 166 people shy of 101,000 signed up members. 101,000. Free to sign up. Give it a try. Take a look. See if there's people there you want to meet. If there's 166 of you who haven't signed up yet, give it a try at ParanormalDate.com. ParanormalDate.com. And if you're over 60, we've got something for you too.
We sure do. Those 60-plus minded people, they're waiting for you, those folks, right now at ParanormalDate.com/seniors. So we've got that going for you too. Sign up for free and meet people that think like you do. It's ParanormalDate.com and ParanormalDate.com/seniors.
At ParanormalDate.com, you meet the most fantastic people.
Hi, I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. What brings you here?
Yeah, I'm here to meet someone who understands me.
How so?
Well, I'm into UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot, conspiracy theories, the paranormal, that kind of stuff. But can't seem to find anyone who gets it.
Oh, well, nice to meet you, Tom. I gotta go.
Okay. Guess that's not your cup of tea. You sure?
Very. Good luck with that.
I can't meet anyone when I'm out, and I really can't find a website for my unique interests. What does one to do?
Have you thought about ParanormalDate.com?
What? Who are you?
I'm a paranormal matchmaker, and it's ParanormalDate.com. It's a
Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, I'm going to tell you how you can save more than $400 a year by switching to Pure Talk. Now look at your last cell phone bill. What was your data usage? The average person who switches to Pure Talk is using less than 4 gigs of data a month. But the big carriers are charging you for unlimited data. It's like paying for an entire row on an airplane, but you're only needing 1 seat. How about unlimited talk, text, and 2 gigs of data for just $20 a month? And if you go over on data usage, they don't charge you for it. Switching to Pure Talk is the easiest decision you'll ever make. Go to puretalkusa.com and enter promo code COAST50, that's the number 50, and you'll save 50% off your first month of service. Again, that's puretalkusa.com, puretalkusa.com, promo code COAST50, 50. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless.
Let's talk about brushing your teeth. Maybe you're doing it less, maybe more. Either way, you probably haven't seen your dentist in a while. Let Quip remind you what your dentist would say. Good health starts with good habits. And Quip makes good habits easy by delivering everything you need to brush and floss better. The Quip electric toothbrush has sonic vibrations with 30-second pulses to guide you through your dentist-recommended 2-minute routine. They even have a sized-down toothbrush designed for kids. And Quip's toothpaste has only what you need, without the damaging abrasives or unnecessary additives found in other brands. For flossing, Quip designed a sleek, reusable dispenser with pre-marked string, so you always get the perfect length. With Quip's automatic delivery, you get your brush heads, toothpaste, and floss refills on a dentist-recommended schedule. Plus, shipping's always free. Join over 4 million happy Quip customers today, starting at $25. Go to getquip.com/coast right now and get your first refill free. That's your first refill free at getquip.com/coast.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Trick or treat. Happy Halloween, everyone, from Rosemary Ellen Guiley.
Miss Rosemary, she was one heck of a reporter and dear friend of all of us with the show. And welcome back to Ghost, George Norrie with you. And let's go right to the calls. Matthew in New Jersey, welcome to the program. Hi, Matthew. What do you got for us?
Hi, George. Great to be on. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk about I grew up in South Philly in a row home, and there was a lot of strange occurrences in that house. It started when I was a baby. My crib shook. My mom seen the crib shaking and then chased I guess what you would call nowadays a shadow figure down to the basement.
Oh, jeez.
Years later, a friend of mine who did not know the story saw a shadow figure on the stairs moving up and down, which that's obviously strange. And you know, it was a row home, so there was a lot of weird noises and things, but they could, you know, you could have heard those noises through the walls or whatever.
Sure.
But a couple of the other weird things, I've been with my wife since we were teenagers. So anyway, we were watching a movie in the dark, and the old tube TV, the way the light came off, you know, like on an angle, and my cat was in the light, and we both saw this football-shaped shadow come out of the darkness, touch the cat on the butt. The cat turned around, looks in shock, like what's there? The shadow just disappears. We heard no sign of it. I searched the whole house for like droppings, if it was some type of animal or something, but neither of us saw legs or a tail. It was floating. That was another strange one. And then the really weird one that your producer really liked was, I was in the kitchen of my house with my sister and two friends. In fact, I've talked to my mom and my friends today about being on the show.
Yeah.
They all remember these stories, of course. And the kitchen had a partition, so you couldn't see into the living room. And we had the radio on real loud. And my mom worked night work, so it was night. My mom worked night work an hour away. We all heard the door open and my mom yell, "Hello," and the radio turned down. We went into the living room and the knob was physically turned down. The door was still locked. My mom was not there. I called her at work an hour away, and she was like, "No, I'm obviously not home. I'm still at work." So we were all baffled by that. So, yeah, that a lot of people with that house really believed that it was haunted.
I bet it was. And but the shadow person never hurt you or anything as a little kid?
I've never seen it. But my sister had a weird fear of my bedroom. I don't know what that was. She was always terrified of my bedroom, but I never felt anything, nor did I ever see any shadow figure.
Did you ever get any history about the house?
You know, it's funny. When I was sitting there on hold, I was thinking that exact thing. I was like, you know, I never tried to get history of the house, and I believe it was built in the 20s, and my parents got it in the early 70s. So it was around a good 50 years. So who knows?
Matthew, thanks for being part of the program.
Well, thanks a lot for having me on.
Our ghost-to-ghost callers, love them all. Let's go next to Dee in the state of Florida. Hey, Dee, thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Well, hello, Mr. George Trick or Treat.
Yes. Are you dressing up tomorrow or today now?
I am staying home, and we've bought a bag of candy, and we're going to put it in a basket and nibble on it for about a month.
And then watch some movies, keep the radio on, and have some fun.
That's exactly it. Well, you're about the best expert that I know who to ask, but I was sitting out on my front porch about 8 years ago when my brother passed away, and I heard his voice distinctly come through, and he used my nickname but said everything is going to be okay.
Oh, jeez.
And I don't know if it was grief talking or if I actually heard it. Now, I'm a Christian, but I've always had an open mind, and that is one thing that I wanted to let you know about. And the second thing, my mother's best friend, her cousin, had bought a old Victorian Southern home that belonged to a Confederate
soldier
general. And
okay.
She bought it and restored it and found a lot of the old original artifacts, the furniture, and even his one of his old portraits, which she put over the fireplace. Well, she was living in the home, and several weird things had started happening. Every night they would hear a thump, and the portrait would land face down, and it was anchored, to the wall. But the portrait of the general, the Confederate general, would land face down. And then she had been in the kitchen cooking and looking for something and couldn't find a can of whatever it was she was looking for, and turned her back and then heard a thump, and out hit this can of, I don't know, corn, whatever, and it hit the countertop, and there it was.
Messages.
She could not find it, but it's registered in the Georgia Historical Society, and they spent a lot of money doing this. So could the general still be back in that home?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
The only reason why it wasn't burned down is because it was occupied. Usually when Union soldiers occupied larger homes or plantations, they didn't burn them.
That's true. And then back to your brother's story. When did you hear his voice after he died? How long did it take?
It was just shortly after.
Like a day or two?
No, it was probably a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks.
And
all right.
He did. My name's Deetra, but everybody calls me Dee, but he used my nickname, and that is what caught my attention.
Well, that's a sign. And I think what he was trying to do was comfort you. And there's no question that that's probably the message he got to you. Let's take a few more calls before the top of the hour break, and we'll come back with another hour to go of Ghost to Ghost. It is, whose turn is it here? Let's go to Todd in Connecticut. Hey, Todd, welcome to the show.
Hey, George, it's a real honor to be on. I've been a faithful listener since 1994.
Well, thank you, sir. You go way back to the beginning.
Yes, I do. It's many a nights that Coast kept me going on the late night shifts.
I love it. Thank you. So what do you got for us?
This story starts in February of 1966.
Boy, you remember the month, the date, and everything. Here we go.
Well, the story was told to me many, many times by my parents over the years.
Aha.
I was born in November 65. I was 2 months early. And back in those days, if you were a preemie, you went right into an incubator for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep, that's true.
And when Mom was finally able to bring me home, my dad was home on leave from Vietnam. He was an Air Force combat medic. And he was stationed at Thompson Air Force Base in North Carolina. And we lived on base housing. And when they brought me home, because the rooms were so small in those little base housing units, they had to put my crib in another room right next to theirs. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, was there to visit for a while. And as a few days went by after being home, my grandmother pitched a fit about the cat, about my dad's cat. His cat's name was Pyewacket. He was a purebred Seal Point Siamese, taken from my dad's favorite book, Bell, Book, and Candle.
Gorgeous cats, too.
Oh, yes. And this cat became very protective of me. If the cat wasn't sleeping in the crib with me, it was under the crib. If Mom had me on the couch, that cat was nearby. No matter where I was, that cat was always nearby. And one day, my grandmother went to get me out of the crib, and she started screaming. And my mom went in there. What's going on? And she's like, "You can't have that cat in that crib. That cat's going to kill that baby." And my mother was like, "No, you don't understand. He seems to be taking on a protective role with the baby." And I guess the cat had hissed and went to go scratch my grandmother for some reason. It got to the point where no one could go into that room and take me out of that crib unless it was my mother or my father.
That cat was that protective?
Very protective. And one night, it was my dad's last night of leave before he had to go back to Vietnam. And my mother was woken by hearing some strange noises coming from my room. And so she got my dad up, and he had grabbed his gun, and mother was right behind him. And they went in there and turned on the light and looking around. And allow me to digress, but Pyewacket had died a few days before this incident.
Ah, okay. All right.
Pyewacket had passed, and Dad had buried him in the backyard. Well, this night, when there was ruckus going on, they went in and they turned on the light. They see Pyewacket sitting on the windowsill. The cat's dead, and I'm still asleep. But the window had been ajar. It opened up a little bit. My dad had walked over to try and pet him and just disappeared. And the funny thing was, my dad told me was when he went over to him, he was licking his paws.
I wonder if he's still watching over you.
I don't know. But my dad said he was licking his paws, and when he went to go give him a pet, Pyewacket just disappeared.
Poof.
And then my dad noticed that there was fresh blood on the windowsill. And when he looked out the window, he saw foot tracks that came to that window, and then foot tracks going off in another direction.
Like human or paw prints?
It was just blood. Like he had attacked something and drew blood, and there was blood all over the over the windowsill.
That's strange.
And after that incident and being on base housing, my dad, and him being a sergeant, had said, "Hey, somebody tried to break into my unit, but if you look around for someone that's got scratches on their hands, cat scratches on their hands, we'll find out who did it." They never found out who did it, but we never had a problem from that day on. They never saw Pyewacket again from that day on. And the interesting thing is that both my parents just were divorced in 70. My mother just couldn't handle the PSD.
Right.
Or they didn't even know it was PSD back in those days.
Yeah, they had no idea.
And she had to make a choice, so she did. And they both told me this story separately. My grandmother backed it up. And the funny thing is both my parents always had a purebred Seal Point Siamese cat throughout the rest of their lives.
I love that story.
Until the day they died. And I turned out to be a dog person.
Go figure. Todd, thanks for the story. Joe, truck driving in Pennsylvania. Hey, Joseph, welcome.
Hey, George, how's it going tonight?
Going great. How about you?
I'm doing just fine. So I wanted to share a little story. I guess it starts out in Austin, Texas. I'm a recovering alcoholic, George, about almost 3 years clean and sober.
Good for you.
And so anyway, I decided to go get some help with this drinking problem. And I went to a rehab facility in Austin, and I'd been there for a couple weeks, and things were going pretty well. I was just kind of missing home, and I don't know, I just wasn't myself. But anyway, the one night I woke up in the middle of the night, it was probably 2 or 3 in the morning, and went to use the restroom. And so I come out of the restroom and I get back down in bed, and I was just sort of laying there, just thinking about things. And now they have these medical aides that come in everyone's room every hour. They come in and they open the door and they just make sure everyone's in their rooms. It's a co-ed facility, so they want to make sure there's nothing crazy going on that way. But so anyway, I'm laying there, and I feel something grab my foot and start shaking it. Now it's a pretty, I mean, not a violent shake, but I mean, it felt like someone was trying to wake me up.
But clearly you could feel it.
Absolutely.
All right, hold on right there, Joe. We're at the break. I'm going to come back and get you right at the top of the hour to finish your story. We'll be right back with more Ghost to Ghost on Coast to Coast.
Have a midnight jamboree. They break it up with English glee. Ghosts are bad, but the one that's cursed is the headless horseman. He's the worst. That's right, he's right on Halloween night. When he goes jogging across the land, holding a noggin in his hand, demons take one look and groan, and they hit the road for parts unknown. Beware, take care, he rides alone. When there's no spook like spooked spurs, they don't like him and he's really burned. He swears to the law.
Everything is smart these days. Our phones are smart. Our thermostats are smart. Even our vacuums are smart. Well, now, so is the mattress you spend a third of your life on. Simply introduces the Smart Life mattress from King Coil. Only Smart Life has advanced algorithms and 80 smart cells that continuously adjust with you to provide the right level of support and comfort all night long. So do the smart thing. Experience the Smart Life mattress and sit and sleep.
Have you decided who you're voting for? I'm attorney Darren Capernoki from 1-800-GO-COPS. Yeah, normally I'm the one reminding you to please just shut up. But now is the time to speak up by casting your ballot. No matter who you vote for, make sure your voice is heard. And whether you're celebrating victory with a cold one or lamenting defeat with a cold one, remember 1-800-GO-COPS, because the cops are out there no matter who wins. 1-800-GO-COPS, since no one looks good in handcuffs, unless you're into that sort of thing. 1-800-GO-COPS.
I'd eaten in this Italian restaurant, and I had the most tremendous pain. I couldn't even drive myself to the emergency room. And so I get in, I'm in the fetal position, the back seat of my brother's car, and they rush me in, and I feel like I'm going to die. You know, I can't breathe. I have tremendous pain, but it felt like somebody shot. So the doctor is pressing, and he's pressing, and he's pressing. He goes, "Does this hurt?" And I said, "No." As he's pressing, and all of a sudden it goes,
The Tim Conway Jr. Show.
$300 more.
Weeknights at 6 on KFI.
So you're a West Coast elitist snob and an egotistical schmuck. Yeah. All wrapped up in one
pretty much.
delightful Diet Coke swilling, ham and cheese baguette eating, salary bragging guy.
Actually, I don't brag about myself.
Well, you make it clear, though,
You